Welcome to part 11 of What If Naruto Awakens a Chakra-Molding Bloodline and Gets Harem with Fem Haku. Don't forget to like and subscribe as it motivates me to upload more videos in the future, and as always, link to the fanfiction is in the description. Chapter 81 equals Main area of Nadeshiko Village equals. After what seemed like the quickest night he ever had, he found himself waiting at the side of the platform as the monk began yet again. Course this time when they were both called up to the stand, they were uninterrupted. So, they both stood in front of the monk trying to hide their nervousness as they looked at each other. Now Naruto, do you promise to love Shizuka in good times, in bad times, and in times of need? The monk asked, looking over at Naruto. I do, Naruto stated, but fumbled over his words slightly. Shizuka, do you promise to love Naruto in good times, in bad times, and in times of need? The monk asked her. I do, Shizuka stated with a blush ever present on her face. Then, with the power granted to me, I now pronounce you man and wife, you may kiss your bride. The monk stated with a smile, holding out his hands to either side. And with that said, Naruto moved closer to Shizuka until they were only a few inches apart. He then gulped back his nervousness and gently held onto her as he initiated a light kiss. Course this kiss only lasted a few seconds but left both of them with bright red faces, with the embarrassment only growing stronger as they heard the spectators around them. Course at this time the monk then brought everyone's attention back to him after the excitement died down a decent bit. And with this wedding, let the alliance between Konoha and the Nadeshiko village be bonded as well. May this alliance lead to great things for both villages as the will of fire fills each of them with strength. The monk said happily with everyone clapping at this information. I will be honest, I am not super happy with this wedding, but for the sake of getting content out I am not going to burn myself out trying to make it better right now. I most likely will try to fix it up in the future, but like I said many times before, it's just not worth going after for something that has very little to the actual storyline. Well, it looks like everything went smoothly even with that bastard's interference, Tsunade said with a smirk, looking at the blushing couple. Indeed. And I can't wait until the time I get to hold my grandchild in my hands. Suyoi agreed with a nod, making everyone around her sweat drop. You really have a one-track mind, don't you? Tsunade mutters, only for the other Kage to nod her head yet again. Of course. When it comes to something as important as continuing my family, I am as focused as you can be. After all, who knows what is to come? Suyoi added, picturing a war in her head. But enough with that thought for the moment. Let us enjoy this day, she told them, then stood up. Now everyone, please give us an hour to set up and we will have a celebratory feast. Suyoi told the crowd as those that weren't part of the crew kindly dispersed from the area while the predetermined group quickly moved things around and set up for the large meal. Course while they were doing this, many people went up to Naruto and Shizuka, with many of the residents focusing on Shizuka, but a few did give Naruto a brief congratulations as well. Not that Naruto expected any less from the Nadeshiko village, seeing as they didn't have any time at all to try get to know what kind of man Shizuka was stuck with. Course Naruto didn't pay any attention to this as he soon found his other girlfriends around him. So how does it feel to finally be hitched? Ino asks with a smirk on her face. It feels different, Naruto told her with a blush still on his face. Well, you better get used to it, mister. I expect a perfect wedding coming in my future as well, okay? Ino tells Naruto, making him just look at her. Not now, just sometime, Ino told him, looking away with a blush on her face now. Yes, we all will have our time. But for now, let's just congratulate Naru-kun and Shizuka-san. Ayame tells the group, bringing them back to the present. Yay, but I will get some Naru time soon. At least to make up for another first being taken from me. Hinata tells Naruto seriously, making him blush even more at the thought, even with Hinata pouting in front of him. Yes, but let's let Naruto-sama enjoy this time with his current wife rather than his future ones, Haku tells Hinata, who huffs but ends up accepting this. And after this, the rest of the setup time was spent with a mixture of his girlfriends, various civilians, and his now wife until it finally was beginning to get late. And with that, the party finally came to an end and everyone began to return to their own lodgings. Though Suyoi took this time to walk over to Naruto with a small smile on her face. Well, son-in-law, are you ready? She asked, making Naruto blush. Are you sure this is needed? Like what if we aren't ready? Naruto asked her with a heavy blush on his face. Course this led to Tsuyoy putting her hands on her hips and glaring at him. Oh, no. You aren't getting away from the plan this far into it. I want my grandchild, you hear me? She told him, making him flinch back a bit. Oh okay, Naruto told her, shocked by the bluntness. What happened to the woman's family wanting the man to do only what the girl wants and hating them for doing stuff? Naruto muttered, remembering his event with Ino's parents. Still, he just swallowed his nerves and followed Tsuyoy. For those who don't understand this, Naruto is nervous seeing as he is going to be a father, and while as a friend with Shizuka he really still wouldn't call himself in love with her yet. Basically, he also doesn't want her to do something they live to regret. Oh, and while Tsuyoy really does want a grandchild, she also is pushing it so much because of the war looming over them in her mind. So, she also wants to have something to assure that their line will be continued. They then walked for a short while until they eventually reached a moderate-sized house. Well, this is where I leave for the night, but you better do your part. Tsuyoy told Naruto seriously before walking away from him as he stared at the door in front of him for a minute. He then swallowed his nerves yet again and knocked on the door. "See, come in." Naruto could hear Shizuka call him in and opened the door to a scene that left him stunned to say the least. For standing a bit away from the door was Shizuka, who apparently had the time to change over to a rather thin nightgown. She stood there for a few moments as Naruto's brain rebooted, fidgeting a bit the whole time. Hello, Naruto muttered out before braiding himself for doing so. Welcome to my home, Shizuka told him, shyly waving her hand around the house. And if one wasn't focused on the situation they found themselves in, they would notice the house was rather Spartan in design. This was due to Shizuka only buying this when she got married after her mother told her that she didn't want to hear her nightly activities at the mansion Tsuyoy had. But this was not something that either of the young adults paid any mind to at the current moment. Well, follow me, Shizuka told Naruto, walking back into her home with Naruto following after removing his shoes at the door. Though even with his nerves Naruto couldn't help but keep his eyes on the shapely butt that was being partially shown with each step, seeing as the nightgown wasn't long enough to completely cover it. +_++++ lemon warning, if you couldn't figure it out already, +_+++++++. As he stared, Naruto couldn't help but feel his blood begin to pool in his other head, making him blush even more. Still, they quickly reached the room where there was only a modest bed out with rather basic sheets. Shizuka then turned back around to look at Naruto. Well, am I going to be the only one exposing themselves? She asked him, making Naruto look at her confused until he finally remembered that he was still in all of his clothes. So, he quickly took off his clothes until he finally was left in just his boxers, which currently had a rather sizable bulge in the front. Course that fact only made him blush more when he saw Shizuka staring at him. Any better? Naruto asked her, making her blink out of her starring session. Why yay, she muttered, he already so different than Sagiri, she admitted to herself, but pushed that to side of her mind. Instead, she watched as Naruto went over to her until there was only about a foot between them. Shizuka-chan, are you sure that you want to do this? I don't want to do anything you don't agree with, Naruto told her gently, making her smile a bit. It's okay Naruto, I have already made my peace with this plan of my mother's. I am just happy it is at least someone I like, she told him, giving him a gentle kiss on his lips. Shizu-chan, Naruto muttered out, but quickly returned the kiss and deepened it as he wrapped his arms around her and brought her close. When he finally released her lips, there was a trail of saliva connecting the two. But they only stayed still for a moment as Naruto's hands began to wander on her body, causing light moans when he squeezed her plump butt. Naruto, Shizuka muttered with the blush still present on her face, but pulled away from the grabby male, confusing him until he saw her quickly pull off her nightgown, leaving her only in a pair of panties. Seeing this, Naruto couldn't resist anymore and pushed her down onto the bed while he continued to grope and feel her body until he finally reached down and rubbed her pussy through her panties, making Shizuka tense up in surprise. I guess you truly were ready for this, Naruto told her with a smirk, seeing as her dampness was already noticeable through her panties. Shut up, Shizuka told him with a light glare, but soon moaned and arched her back instead as he began to focus his wandering hands around her pussy. Jerk, she mumbled out after recovering from her spasm. She then decided to take back the dominant role as she sat up and pushed Naruto back until he was sitting down. She then took her own turn to feel Naruto up with a blush as she felt his hard muscles, but she quickly reached down and felt Naruto's hard rod still hidden away by his boxers. Shizu-chan, Naruto groaned out surprised as she began to pump her hand on his shaft while it desperately tried to be released from the cloth that confined it. Then after only a few seconds Shuka removed the offending piece of clothing only to look on in surprise as Naruto's member launched out as soon as it was able. "Be big," Shizuka muttered in surprise and just stared at the penis in front of her. I heard that men's penises can be various sizes, but I didn't think it would be this different. He must be at least an inch or two bigger than Sagiri was. Shizuka thought, placing a hand on her crotch. "It hurt when we had our first time for quite a while, and this is even bigger. I know some of the experienced girls say it feels good after your first B, but what if this hurts even more?" Shizuka thought with some fear. After all, she only had sex one time with Sagiri, and while she did get some pleasure from it, there was still pain. And even with her being a proud ninja, she had no desire to cause herself unneeded pain. "Shizu-chan, are you okay?" Naruto asked, worried seeing as she hadn't really moved in a couple of seconds. "Huh," Shizuka muttered, then quickly came back to reality. "Oh, I'm sorry Naruto-kun, I just was surprised how big you are." Shizuka admitted. "I already told you that if you didn't want this, we could stop. I don't want to do something that will make a friend uncomfortable," Naruto told her. For while he knew he would suffer from a major case of blue balls, it was worth it in his mind if it helped his friend feel safe. Course Shizuka just shook her head at the blonde. "It's okay Naruto, I have already made up my mind, just be gentle," Shizuka told him, still nervous but refusing to go back on her decision. And I am your wife, not friend now," she added after thinking for a minute. "Oh yay, sorry about that," Naruto told her with a smile as he rubbed the back of his head. Course she just smiled and shook her head at his antics. She then gave him a hug. "Thank you for caring Naruto-kun," Shizuka told him while still holding him. "Anytime Shizu-chan, I always will be there for my special people," Naruto told her with a smile. "Hey, thank you," she told him with the smile on staying on her face. "But for now, I think another one of your special people needs attention," Shizuka told him, letting go of Naruto to grab the shaft that was poking her stomach. "Sorry," Naruto muttered with a blush. "Don't be. It's what we are here for after all," she told him with a blush as she began to jack him of again. "Well, better get over this fear step by step," Shizuka thought as she continued and bent down until her head was just above Naruto's cock. She then hesitated for only a second before giving it a few licks. Until she finally brought herself to begin to take his member in her mouth inch by inch. Meanwhile Naruto was enjoying the pleasure with his hands resting gently on her head as he let her go as fast as she was comfortable with. But after a bit he frowned and quickly picked up a shocked girl and laid her on top of him. "I feel bad that only I am getting to feel pleasure," Naruto told her with her clothed pussy sitting just in front of his face. A fact he quickly took advantage of and began licking her pussy lips through the fabric, making an already wet spot even worse. "Eep." Shizuka couldn't help but let a startled yelp, not expecting the sudden change. Though this quickly turned into a blush from both embarrassment and from the waves of pleasure coming through her body. Though she then remembered what she was previously doing, she quickly decided that she wouldn't be the first to come and restarted her efforts with more effort. A fact that only made Naruto chuckle a bit when he noticed as he decided to play her game. He then quickly pulled her panties off, revealing her moist lips. He then returned to his meal as he used his fingers to aid him. After that, for a couple of minutes the only thing that could be heard was the two at work and various muffled moans. That is until Naruto pulled away from Shizuka's crotch with a strained expression. "Shizu-chan, I'm gonna," Naruto told her, but then felt her take him as deep as she could, making him lose his restraint and begin to cum directly down the surprised girl's throat. Shizuka then the spurts of cum continued down her throat as she had no choice but to swallow his load. Cough cough. When Naruto finally stopped, Shizuka quickly pulled off of him and began to cough a bit. "Shizu-chan, I am so sorry. I just couldn't hold it anymore," Naruto told her, feeling bad. After all, he was experienced enough to not make such mistakes. "It's okay. I just was surprised," Shizuka told him, waving off his worries. Feeling relieved, Naruto quickly gained a mischievous smirk. Then I guess I better make it up to you. Naruto told her huskily. Naruto-kun. Shizuka called out in surprise as he moved her yet again and lined his dick up with her pussy. Then he quickly thrust into her, sheathing himself completely inside of her at once. He then sat completely still just in case she felt any pain. After Naruto did so, Shizuka was lost in her own world. For originally, she was worried about this event hurting. But in this case, she was surprised to that instead of pain she felt, full instead. Something that brought her great relief, but that feeling quickly was being replaced with desire. Naruto, please start, she asked softly, feeling a bit shy asking for him to rock her world. But instead of teasing her, Naruto was more than happy to start thrusting into her tight cavern, causing both of them to moan. Fuck, you are so tight, Shizu-chan. Naruto grunted out, feeling as if the girl had a warm vice grip around his penis. I feel it too. Shizuka told him, not meaning in the literal sense but rather that she felt fuller than she did her first time and was truly enjoying the new spots that Naruto was hitting inside of her. Why was I even worried? Those girls weren't kidding about this. Shizuka couldn't help but think as she felt pleasure each time Naruto's girth moved about in her walls. Pain currently was the farthest thing from her mind as she lost herself in pleasure. Though she quickly found herself realizing that Naruto took complete control of the situation. Something that her pride just couldn't take. So, with a forceful push, she got the confused Naruto to lay down on the bed. Shizuka then repositioned herself and quickly restarted their momentum, but this time in the incomplete control with the cowgirl position. I'm not letting you take all the control, Shizuka told Naruto, determined between pants. Hey, my new wife is determined to remain dominate, huh? Naruto asked her with a smirk. Still, he put his hands on her hips and helped her out a bit as she bounced on his cock. Still, Shizuka didn't respond and instead focused on her work as she felt waves of pleasure with each wet slaps. Soon enough, the pressure she felt increased to a point where she felt as if a spring would break at any moment. Naruto-kun, I'm close, Shizuka told Naruto while finding it hard to force herself to move for the last bit. So, Naruto helped her out by thrusting all of the way into her pussy and began to play with her clit, making the woman on top of him squirm. Naruto-kun. Shizuka called out as she felt the spring finally break and her pussy clenched on Naruto as she came. Naruto happily watched as his wife arched her back as the wave of pleasure came over her body as he simply enjoyed her pussy's vice grip on him. But eventually his balls aching won over his mind and he quickly stood up with Shizuka now laying on the bed. He then began to thrust back into her with renewed effort. Shizuka muttered, confused as he moved her, but then let out a loud moan as he began to move. Wait, I just came. Give me some time to recover. Shizuka asked with her pleasure high yet to wear off. Thus, making her feel each thrust all the more. I'm sorry, Shizu-chan, I promise it won't be much longer. Naruto told her, picking up his pace until Shizuka could only see stars. Here it comes. Naruto called out after hammering into her. Though Shizuka hardly was thinking about anything but pleasure and said nothing as Naruto did one final thrust into Shizuka as deep as he could and finally released his load deep inside of her. The feeling of Naruto coming inside of her was enough to bring Shizuka into yet another release as she felt the warmth pump into her. They both froze for a minute, simply enjoying their release until they finally came back down from their high. So warm, Shizuka couldn't help but mutter, placing a hand on her crotch as if she could feel the heat radiating off of herself. She then looked over at Naruto and noticed his now glistening rod was still hard as can be. Something that made her groan. I'm sorry, Naru-kun, you are just too much for me. Shizuka told him honestly. She felt far too tired to go for another round currently and now only felt the desire to sleep. Course, Naruto just laid down beside her and hugged her close. Don't worry, Shizu-chan, let's just get some rest. Naruto told her caringly, but said nothing as his hard member slid in between her legs and rested right next to her pussy. Though much to Shizuka's relief, Naruto made no attempts to try anything else. Good night, Shizuka-chan, Naruto told her calmly. Good night, Naruto-kun, Shizuka told him before closing her eyes and tried to get some rest. I swear I feel Naru's sperm impregnating me at this very moment. Shizuka couldn't help but think as her consciousness finally entered the realm of sleep. Plus next morning plus. Naruto woke up groggily glancing at the girl currently snuggled into him. In doing so he couldn't help but blush finding her sleeping figure quite attractive even with her messed up hair. Though instead of waking her he decided to sneak out of the bed and went to find a shower. Plus a while later Shizuka eventually woke up and glanced around partially surprised that she didn't find Naruto next to her but quickly solved her confusion when she heard the shower going. So Naruto is cleaning off the mess we made last night, Shizuka thought with a blush rubbing her thighs together. Even with the mess that currently was on the bed she couldn't help but have her mind focus on the pleasure she experienced. While she lost herself in her thoughts, she felt herself becoming more wet much to her embarrassment. I've only had sex 2 times now and I already am craving it, am I becoming a sex addict? Shizuka thought a bit scared but soon found her desire overruling her overactive thoughts. Due to this she pushed her fears to the back burner for the moment and walked to the bathroom. Bathroom. Naruto was busy cleaning off the sweat and grime that coated his body when he jumped as he felt 2 soft pillows push on his back as someone hugged onto him. He then quickly looked over his shoulder to find Shizuka hugging him with a small smile on her face. Shizuka-chan, what are you doing? Naruto asks her surprised. What are you talking about? I needed to get cleaned off as well, right? Shizuka told him, pressing on him more. Oh okay, Naruto said with a blush on his face, a blush that increased even more after a few seconds. Shizu-chan, what are you doing? Naruto asked the girl who only continued to smirk at him. What do you mean? I am just helping you get clean. She told him innocently. Yes, but did you have to start there? Naruto asked her. For Shizuka was currently rubbing her hand up and down his quickly hardening cock. Something that at first embarrassed Naruto but after deciding to go with the flow quickly felt himself getting in the mood as well. Well, I guess I better return the favor, Naruto told her, turning around in her arms and began to massage her butt. Thank you Naruto-kun, but I think I need a brush to clean out the mess you left somewhere else. Shizuka told him, positioning his cock to rub against her pussy. I guess I'll get right on that. Naruto told her, surprised she was being so bold but wasn't complaining. He then wasted no time pushing his entire cock deep inside of the girl who groaned happily. He then thrust into Shizuka at a steady pace while playing with her breasts. Something that the girl was happily enjoying while squirming around in his hold. That is until Naruto moved one of his hands to her clit, driving her even more insane. That is until the pleasure became too much and she felt the strength in her legs give out. Thankfully though, Naruto was able to hold onto her, making the girl blush even more. I'm sorry, Shizuka muttered, embarrassed as she stayed in his arms. It's okay Shizu-chan, but let's bring this to somewhere better, shall we? Naruto asked her, carrying back into the bedroom while paying no mind to the woman's desire to walk herself. He only let go of her to drop her on the bed. He then wasted no time re-entering her pussy and continuing their love-making. Oh Naru-kun, Shizuka moaned out as she held onto Naruto. I knew it. The both heard a voice call out, making both of them jump practically out of their skin. Hinata-chan, what are you doing here? Naruto called out, seeing the girl standing in the room. How did you even get in here? Shizuka asked the girl, trying to hide her naked body behind Naruto. We are ninja, how do you think I got in? Hinata asked her simply. For when she didn't find Naruto anywhere in the village this morning, she quickly used her eyes to find him and simply picked the house's lock. As for how she knew which was Naruto, well, she simply needed to find the brightest Chakra's signature in the village. Anyways, I was nice enough giving you a night alone as your wedding gift, but now I need my Naru time as well. Hinata told Shizuka and quickly began to discard her clothes. What are you doing? Shizuka asked, shocked by the girl. Like I told you, I need my Naru, Hinata told her firmly, now completely nude. And this a perfect time to play around with some more of the Ichiya books scenes. Hinata mentally added as she walked over to them. She then pushed Shizuka over until she had enough space to lay beside her. So what are you waiting for, Naruto? Come please us. Hinata told Naruto, who for the moment was stunned at what happened but was broke of it with this statement. Alright, Naruto muttered, not sure what to do. For he could see that Shizuka was feeling a bit uncomfortable but was well aware that Hinata would not take no for an answer. Course Hinata saw his hesitation and rolled her eyes. You are too nice sometimes, Hinata muttered and rolled over till she was facing Shizuka. If you are uncomfortable then I'll just have to get you in the mood as well. She told the girl simply before kissing her full on the lips, and if Shizuka's cheeks were anything to go by, stuck her tongue into the other girl's mouth. A sight that made Naruto's cock practically throb with desire at how it looked. Something he couldn't ignore anymore as he returned to thrusting into Shizuka, making her moan into Hinata's mouth. What is going on? I know I wanted more sex, but to have one of Naruto's other girlfriends come in was beyond my expectation, and why is this beginning to feel so good? Shizuka thought, seeing as she originally had no intention of ever begin with another girl, let alone a threesome. But she quickly found herself getting even more pleasure than before from the situation. And while she had no idea if it was because of the kiss or because of Naruto, she found herself not truly caring. She found herself instead quickly becoming drunk on the pleasure and simply let it happen to her. Come on, just come already so I can have my turn, Hinata told the girl after releasing the kiss. She could now see that the girl was lost in pleasure and now had no intention of trying to stop her anymore, but found herself groaning impatient as her desire grew. So rather than kissing Shizuka, she instead moved lower and began sucking on one of her breasts while using her hand to play with her clit. Something that made both Naruto and Shizuka groan even more. Shizuka because of the added pleasure and Naruto because the velvety walls around him tightened up even more. Shizuka-chan, I am coming, Naruto called out as he continued to thrust into her. Me too, Shizuka called out as she found herself coming yet again on Naruto's tool as she felt him push as deep as he could and dump his load in her. They then simply basked in their release until Hinata felt she waited long enough and pulled the still stunned girl off of Naruto. Okay, it's my turn now, Hinata ordered them, laying in front of Naruto with her legs apart. Come on big boy, rock my world, Hinata told Naruto sultrily, waking the blonde from his episode to see her dripping wet snatch. Okay, Naruto called out and quickly plunged his still rock-hard member deep into Hinata, who happily began to moan. Beside them, Shizuka took a few minutes until she finally was aware of the world around her again and saw Hinata being pounded into right beside her. A sight that normally would embarrass her, but instead she was determined to get revenge on the girl. So, with that focus in mind, she quickly latched onto one of her breasts with her mouth and began to play around with the other soft mass. She continued her work as the girl underneath her moaned loudly until she felt her own desire build up yet again. So, instead of continuing her work, she got completely on top of Hinata and reached down to Naruto's cock, trying to get him out of her to please her yet again. Oh, Hinata groaned out happily, not caring that Shizuka was on top of her, until she felt Naruto stop and saw his cock captured by said girl when he pulled out and watched as she began to line it back up with her. Oh, you cheeky little minx, Hinata muttered to the girl who was ignoring her, then flipped over so she was on top of Shizuka. She then looked at the girl who now refocused on her. You had your turn, now you have to play nice and let me have mine, Hinata scolded, then shook her ass in the air. Naru, please give it to me, Hinata begged the blonde, who happily wasted no time doing just that. Meanwhile, Shizuka pouted at her for making her plan fail, which only made Hinata roll her eyes. Oh, you greedy girl, Hinata told her, getting on her hands and knees so she could pull the girl out from under her. If you won't learn to share, you will just have to be punished, Hinata told her and began to lick the other girl's pussy, making Shizuka moan. What, oh god, are you doing? Shizuka asked, surprised through moans. Be quiet and let me teach you the pleasures that a woman can give you, and so you don't take my turn, Hinata told her, but muttered the last part. So, with that being said, she continued her work with Shizuka unconsciously placing her hands on the back of Hinata's head, pushing her closer to her snatch. Meanwhile, Naruto watched this sight that turned him on even more as he thrust harder into Hinata while reaching down to play with her breasts. The trio's fun continued for a while longer until Shizuka finally woke from her pleasure-filled state with her eyes going wide. My appointment, Shizuka called out, surprising the other two as she forced herself away from the two of them. What? Naruto asked the girl, who quickly went back into the bathroom. I was supposed to go to meet the doctor this morning, Shizuka called out from the shower as she tried to clean herself off as good as she could. She then quickly came back into the room and got dressed back in her normal clothes. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun, we will have to continue this another time, but mother would kill me if I didn't go get tested, Shizuka told Naruto before quickly leaving the building, leaving Naruto stunned, looking over towards the hallway. What are you doing? I still need my fill. Hinata told Naruto after she decided he spent long enough not pleasing her and quickly forced him back into her pussy. All this means is that I don't have to share for a while. Hinata told Naruto, who wanted to respond but found his lower head overpowering him as he did just what Hinata wanted him to. Plus underscore plus underscore plus underscore plus lemon end plus underscore plus underscore plus underscore plus underscore. Tilde hospital tilde. Shizuka quickly ran to the hospital after getting cleaned off and went as fast as she dared to in order to get to her appointment as fast as possible. Hey doc, sorry I am late, Shizuka calls out to a short-haired woman wearing a lab coat after panting a bit. This woman was one of the head staff of the building and has been taking care of her for a good portion of her life. Welcome Shizuka-chan. While I am glad you are here finally, I insist that you make sure to come on time next time. After all, you never know what could happen or how long the tests will take. The doctor told her with a smile but didn't try to hide her slight threat at all. No need for that, doctor. I promise this won't happen again. Shizuka told her quickly. After all, the last thing she wanted was to be stuck in the hospital for hours at end. I am glad to hear that. Now hop on up and let's get your exam done, shall we? Mai asked, tapping on an exam table in the room. A question that Shizuka quickly followed and laid down on the table and tried to relax as Mai hovered a glowing hand over her abdomen slowly. Well, it seems that everything appears fine for the moment. It is truly hard to tell completely if it took, but your egg is healthy and has plenty of healthy options around it. I think it is safe to say that if you aren't already, it is just a matter of time. Mai told her with a smile. I think it's safe to congratulate a new future mother. She added, making Shizuka blush. Thanks, but how long until we know for sure if it actually worked? Shizuka asks, unconsciously rubbing her stomach. Well, other than a medical diagnostic jutsu, there is no real way to tell right now, seeing as it is so early, but judging on the amount I saw, I don't think you will have too much to worry about. Mai told her with a shrug. After all, it was incredibly hard to tell if something was going on with less than a day of progress. But she soon gained a teasing smirk as she looked at the woman she watched grow up. But I guess you guys worked pretty hard to get that much sperm, huh? She asked the girl, who turned bright red. I was just doing what I was told to do. Shizuka told her with her blush refusing to go away. I am sure. Mai agreed with her, clearly not believing her. After all, if she was truly unhappy with the situation, she wouldn't have gone so far with the man she picked, even if it was the second one. Course Shizuka could do nothing but look away from the woman with her face completely red. Now I am happy you found love again. Now go get out of here and spend some time with him. It will take a few days for me to confirm that the job is done perfectly, and then he'll have to leave. Alright, Shizuka answers, wanting to quickly leave the teasing she faced. Meanwhile, Tsunade hotel room. After waking up, Tsunade quickly found the rest of the girls she traveled with knocking at her door. So, with a sigh, she opened the door and let the girls sit around the table she was provided. So what do you brats need so damn early? Tsunade asks the girls, who look at each other before Ino answered. Well, we were just wondering what the plan was now that the wedding is done. Ino asked. That's it. Well, I was gonna tell you guys later on today anyways. Tsunade asks before grabbing a chilled sake container and a cup. Now that all of the legal jargon is done, we basically have a few days of vacation time, as long as you don't piss anyone off too much. Tsunade told them. But isn't the Hokage supposed to always be in the village protecting it? Ayame asks, surprised. Yeah, I am supposed to, but part of that is making sure we have allies. And in this case, that agreement won't be set up completely until they are sure the brat knocked up his new wife. So, until their doctor sees that, we just have to sit and wait, Tsunade told them, amused as they all blushed about the thought of Naruto getting a girl pregnant. Cough. They all heard from a bit away and saw Shizune glaring at Tsunade a bit. Sigh. Spoil sport. If they take more than another day or two, I will get the ball rolling and make sure we are on our way home by the third day. I would have just relaxed a bit, but Shizune was kind enough to hint that it wouldn't be for the best of things, or my sake allotment. Tsunade told them, though muttered the last bit. For Shizune was truly the only person that knew how to boss her around a bit, well, the only one that wouldn't die trying. Anyways, just go have fun, though I would have thought that Hinata would be with you girls. Tsunade told the girls, then looked at them curious as they just shrugged. We woke up and she was already out of her bed. I have no idea where Hinata-san could be at the moment. Haku admits. But seeing as the conversation was done, they all left the room, leaving Tsunade and Shizune by themselves. Something that Tsunade was rather happy about as she relaxed on a chair and happily held her booze. That is until she heard a knock yet again. Oh come on, come in. Tsunade calls at the door, a bit annoyed. She then saw Ayame walk back into the room. What ya need? Well, I was just wondering if this really is okay. Ayame asks a bit shyly. What do you mean? I mean, just having Naruto get a girl pregnant then just leave, for all they know she will never see him again. Ayame explained, only to see Tsunade shrug. Oh well, I doubt they truly care if they do see him or not. I know it seems weird to civilians, but that is just the ninja way. Tsunade told her, getting serious. The hidden villages trade and do deals as much as they can to get what they want. In this case, what they wanted was a man that was strong enough to be a good sperm donor for an heir. As for taking care of the kid, well, I am sure they will use as many resources they need from the village itself. After all, they can't have an heir not be completely loyal to their village. That's one of the reasons there really are no males here. Tsunade explains, but didn't bother going into further detail. But I just can't imagine having a kid at that age. I mean, I am only a few years older than them. Ayame told her, still not fully wrapping her head around the idea. Course Tsunade just looked at the girl awkwardly. Well, funny you should mention that, Tsunade told Ayame, who looked at her cage confused. Orochimaru base . Kabuto was calmly looking over a tank that contained a male in some sort of fluid. How is the body doing? Kabuto asks, not looking away from the man. The body has been showing stable vital signs and does not seem to have any sort of biological problems. Medical staff have also confirmed that its chakra coils seem to be properly connected to everything but the eyes. For those, we unfortunately have not found a way to see if they will work properly or be unusable for the task the Lord has asked for. A researcher told Kabuto, handing over a folder that was filled with various charts and readings. That most likely will be a problem we will have to deal with after initiating the transfer. How is the DNA coding? Kabuto asked, flipping through the pages, not seeing the researcher frown in front of him. Unfortunately, despite our many attempts, we have been unable to properly stabilize the bonds between the strands. We also have several questions about its life expectancy after having the accelerated growth phase. The man told Kabuto, who just tossed the file onto a table. That is to be expected. Thankfully, this should only be a temporary solution until other projects are completed. Kabuto told the man with a smirk. Prep the body for transfer in 10 minutes. Kabuto told the man, then walked out of the room. Yes sir, the researcher said firmly while saluting Kabuto as he left. Then as soon as the man was gone, he looked to the rest of the group in the room. Well, what the hell are you waiting for? Get it prepped ASAP and don't you dare make me disappoint our lord. The researcher growled at the group, who began to rush around the room. Different chamber. After leaving the room, Kabuto walked for a little bit before standing in front of a door that had a large seal placed on it. He quickly pumped a small amount of chakra into the door until he finally heard a bolt moving inside of the door. After which he quickly opened said door and walked through while letting the door close behind him. Orochimaru-sama, your body is almost ready. Kabuto called out to the seemingly empty room. Excellent, a small voice was heard, then a small snake slithered out into the open. Is it ready? The snake asks, looking at Kabuto, who pushed his glasses up. Mostly. There are some problems and questions we are having with a sample, but it should be stable enough to survive your transfer. But regardless, this transfer will lead to a wide variety of results and will surely let us create even better shells for you to possess in the future. Perfect, the snake said, then began to slither over to Kabuto, who then put his hand down. Kabuto did not react at all the whole time as the snake rested on his palm with its tail wrapped around his wrist. When this was done, he quickly stood back up and calmly walked back to the previous room. After entering said room, he sat down in a chair and simply watched the researchers run around until finally the body was placed on a metal table with only medical machines monitoring its vitals attached to it. Well, are you ready, my lord? Kabuto asks the snake, which nods its head and slides back onto the offered hand. He then walked over to the table and places said snake directly on the man's chest. Then whenever you wish to begin. He told the snake and backed away to simply watch, just as many researchers were doing. They then saw Orochimaru in his snake mode slither into the nose of the man, and all of a sudden, the vitals began to go crazy and the body twitched all over. This reaction lasted for about 5 minutes before the body went still again and the vitals returned to normal. Lord Orochimaru, how do you feel? Kabuto asks calmly and simply waits a few minutes until finally the body's eyes opened wide and it took a deep breath. Cough cough, the body began a fit of coughing as fluid came out of the body's mouth. Everything seems to be in relatively working order. The body tells Kabuto, then smirked at him. After which the body began to morph and the hair began to grow in a sickening manner. In fact, many of the researchers looked away as the body morphed until it finally looked exactly like Orochimaru. The man then looks over to Kabuto with the Sharingan spinning in his eyes. Wonderful. Then let us begin our tests. Kabuto states with a smirk. And welcome back, Orochimaru-sama. Kabuto tells the man, who simply begins to chuckle. Yes, let's see just what is possible now. Orochimaru states happily as everyone now looked at him. With fear in their eyes. I am another step closer to finally reaching my goals, and ahead of schedule. Orochimaru thinks pleased while ignoring everyone around him. Chapter 82. Orochimaru's lair. Currently Orochimaru was standing in one of the training arenas where he was fighting several of this base's test subjects' prisoners. He was fighting the 10 or so ninja by himself in a no-holds-bar. Meanwhile Kabuto simply watched from the sidelines, only moving to dodge various stray weapons and Judas. Come on bastards, not only do we get to finally get revenge on this asshole, but we also gain our freedom. Let's hurry up and kill this red-eyed freak. One of the prisoners yelled at his team. Still, none of the group were getting anywhere near to actually harming Orochimaru, let alone kill him. Meanwhile Orochimaru was laughing the whole time as he got used to following the group in front of him with his newly acquired eyes. Kukuku, no wonder you were a prodigy, Itachi-kun. These eyes make these slow movements seem to be going at a snail's pace. Orochimaru thought happily. For while it did take him some time to actually get used to the eyes' effects, he eventually got the hang of it. As for the mental stress, he was already used to many Judas requiring constant attention, so he had no problems with that aspect. Eventually he decided he had enough practice, and the men that were thinking they had a chance found the sudden realization that their chance was rapidly closing. And closing for good, seeing as Orochimaru began to quickly kill off his opponents until 5 minutes later there were none of them left. Well, how do you feel the practical test went? Kabuto asked, walking closer to his master. It went well. The grown body holds up under my normal speed and has a proper amount of strength. It also has the ability to keep up with my snake-enhanced movements rather well without too much muscle fatigue. Though the main issue is that it seems my chakra depletes at a constant rate due to these eyes. Orochimaru stated. Well, I suppose that is the problem with not having your body be a normally grown Uchiha. Kabuto stated. It seems so. But this body will do more than good enough until my subjects are grown enough to be of proper use to me. Orochimaru states, seeing as Sasuke's child was far too young to be a proper body to him at the moment. How are the black blood troops looking? Orochimaru asks, whipping the blood splatter from his body. The number of black blood creatures have been growing at a steady rate, but is it wise to put so much stock on them rather than focusing on using the impure world reincarnation jutsu? It just seems more viable to use them rather than creatures that will stay dead when killed. Kabuto asks. Kukuku, indeed you are right that they aren't as durable, but they also require a specially trained controller to work with. Unlike the Daku that work off basic commands, the reincarnated ninja need far exceed just basic commands. After all, most of the ninja we collect don't wish to fight their previous allies, so they must be forced to do so. Not to mention it takes proper control to suppress their human thoughts if needed. Orochimaru explained. For anyone could just send out Daku, seeing as the black blood filled their minds with nothing but rage and made sure they perceived anything as enemies. Meanwhile the ninja brought back using the impure world reincarnation are brought back with their original thoughts and ideas. So, to use them you had to suppress their free will at all times. In fact, in most cases you would have to suppress their ability to think as well if they ended up trying to get people to know their weaknesses. Needless to say, the mental power it took to do this was drastically high, and most of the time the user had to be focused enough that they really couldn't do anything other than focus on controlling their summoned ninja. After explaining this, Kabuto and Orochimaru began to walk through the base, leaving the bodies in the training room for someone else to clean up. Besides Kabuto, you are forgetting to think about two things. One, that with the reincarnated ninja they lose their hold on this world again as soon as their controller is killed, while the Daku will continue to follow the last orders they are given till they die. And two, no one said we couldn't reincarnate those that we used as Daku in order to have them fight again. All that is needed is a small bit of their living tissue before they get themselves destroyed. Orochimaru added, making Kabuto visibly come surprised. I didn't know that was still a possibility, Kabuto admitted as he stopped walking for just a second but quickly caught back up to his master. So both versions have their own positives and negatives then. Leave it to Orochimaru-sama to think of all the possibilities. Kukuku, leave it to him to find a way to have both an ever-expanding army and a never-dying army backing him up. How can we ever lose? Kabuto thinks happily as he let his master go rest in his throne as he continued through the base to reach his own research chamber. I must be sure to note this information down in my project. Kabuto thought serious as he began writing down the new information. For just like always, even though he was loyal to his master that taught him everything he knew, he also was ever focused on becoming his master. After all, Orochimaru was one of the greatest ninja to ever live, so the best way for him to make sure he was strong is to become him. With Shippuden spoiler, so while Kabuto is a very strong ninja himself, he also was very crazy. After all, when his master died, he used the products he could find to basically become a demented version of the snake before joining with someone that could protect him yet again. So even with all of his brains, he seems to be stuck at basically being a psychopathic and obsessed follower. Oh, and one of the main reason I included this part is because I was personally thinking about why they wouldn't just use the summoned ninja instead of the black blood, seeing as they can still be killed. And this just makes the most sense to me. Meanwhile, Orochimaru. After leaving Kabuto, Orochimaru made it to his throne room and sat in his extravagant chair. He then calmly sat and relaxed after his training session. Lord Orochimaru, can I do anything for you? A random servant that was on duty in his throne room. Kukuku, call my generals here. Orochimaru ordered and ignored the man as he bowed and walked out of the room. After about 30 minutes after the servant left, several different men and women arrived in front of Orochimaru. These people were all the leaders of the various sections of the Sound Village, with each of them having almost complete control over their own section of the army. After all, most of the time Orochimaru was far too busy with his own projects and desires. Something that allowed each of them to have the ability to do basically whatever they wished. A fact that led to the land of the Sound being a mostly lawless area, but those that had power truly didn't care. These people were the leaders of the Daku, researchers, and the ninjas. You called Lord Orochimaru? The group asked in almost unison. Kukuku, welcome generals. I hope you have been keeping things in proper order while I was being reborn. Orochimaru asks the group. Hey, well, the strong remain well fed and ready for anything. The leader of the ninja happily told him. Our Black Blood army is gaining members but has slowed down now that we have to be more secretive. The leader of the Daku informed him. Our projects have gained some moderate success in following your projects, and those that have agreed to be our test subjects. Our studies have found ways to give people various enhancements that seem to increase their capabilities. The researcher explained. Wonderful. Now I have asked all of you to come today to state that we finally ready for our next phase of the plan. With the Akatsuki having removed most of the Jinchuriki from this world and the most of the hidden villages still focused on their own squabbling, it is the perfect time to show our true power. So, now before they have a chance to prepare, we must begin our conquering. Orochimaru told them with a vicious grin. Wonderful. Finally, my men get to fuck some shit up. The ninja general happily calls out. But which of the peace lovers should we go after? The researcher asked, rubbing his chin as he thought. What does it matter? With the black blood we will only gain forces as we go. The Daku general said happily. Kukuku, I am glad you understand. So with the main force being non-essential black blood units, you may attack anyone as you please. Unless I give the order, there is no need to worry about specific targets or until I actually take control of the army. But for now, all of you go crazy and conquer the world for me. My only tasks for you is to collect as many jutsu scrolls as you can and make sure that we never lose any valuable resources. As for the Daku, keep the higher ranks safe unless they are truly needed, and if we ever lose one of them, make sure to collect a DNA sample for me to use. Other than that, go wild and spread our control. Orochimaru told the group happily. After all, other than against the truly strong ninja, most of the war would be just a numbers game. And with the way the black blood spread, they wouldn't have anything to worry about in that aspect. Fuck yes. We finally get to spill some blood after all this time. And as much as I wanna. The ninja leader yelled happily with a bloodthirsty grin. Yes, you can, you barbarian, but just remember to follow the simple order he gave and make sure we get our test subjects. The researcher told him only to be waved off. Still, Orochimaru paid no mind to this and let the group do what they wanted. Overall equals. After the quick and rather basic meeting, the world began to plunge into chaos. With the generals of the Sound now attacking everywhere at basically random. This led to most of the various cities and villages being forced on high alert, seeing as the information about the attackers is so varied and destroyed most of everything they attacked. Meanwhile, the reports of various groups of black blood creatures have been seen just wandering at seemingly random has increased. Eventually, the news of this chaos was brought to the attention of the feudal lords as their subjects asked for help with the random acts of mass genocide. In turn, this was brought to the ninja village's attention. So, soon enough, various ninjas were sent out to figure out what was going on and get actual information about the enemies that the world was facing. But many of these villages still had no desire to work with each other, making each of them send various teams to get the same information for themselves rather than sharing. This fact was fully due to how the world was, but still lead to loads of weaker teams of ninja finding their demise at the hands of the various armies of the Sound. This fact, of course, was not the fault of any one group in particular, but rather just how the world worked. For no information would ever be given to a possible enemy, at least for free. So, the world was kept in the dark for the most part as the Sound village's power slowly grew. But information was still come in just at a slower pace, so the villages were learning just what they were facing. They just have to hope that it was not too late. Meanwhile, the Sound was enjoying their landslide of victories more than ever. With the restraint taken pretty much completely off of them, they could basically do whatever they want and were happily doing just that. While out attacking basically whoever they wanted, they ransacked every area they visited with no worry about problems. After all, anyone that would dare complain was being converted into Daku that needed no possessions. So, each Sound member was able to enjoy basically any worldly pleasures. Though there were some issues with people fighting over stuff no one really cared. After all, in the Sound village the strong survived and the weak were used till they ran out of use, then disposed of. In the Sound village, survival of the fittest was one of the very few rules that all of the Sound followed. Though now another way to stay safe was to be one of the controllers of the Daku. After all, the brainless creatures needed instructions, and the process to get to control even the basic troops was not a pleasant one. Random village equals. Sir, we are approaching the village that we have lost contact with and will be at the front gate in about 10 minutes. A ninja stated. Alright, you all know what the mission is here. Find any information you can about what is causing all feces attacks and help the civilians when you can. I know it's not pleasant, but don't any of you dare sacrifice intel just to save a few lives. As much as I hate to say it, you know how our world works. You must sacrifice one to save 1,000. The leader told the rest of his group, but muttered the last bit. After all, while they were trained ninja, they still were human. They still had emotions and opinions, but their training helped them push those to the side and think with a hive mind when they needed to, even if it never was a pleasant thing to do. Yes, sir. The rest of the group called out as they continued to run to what seemed like a quiet village. Finally, after the 10 minutes had passed, they reached the gate only to find the village dead silent. Even with it being noon, there was no signs of any person moving. The village was a complete ghost town, but they all kept on high alert as they entered the city. For while there was no one around, there certainly was signs of a struggle. Doors were broken and left wide open. Blood splatter was all over everything, but was already completely dry, and every house looked to be completely ransacked on the inside. Where is everyone? One of the ninja mutters, holding on tightly to a kunai. I don't know, but we have to find out. The leader told the man, equally disturbed. But all of a sudden, they heard a loud crash and quickly dispersed into various hiding spots. They then quietly snuck over to the source of the sound and saw 3 to 4 ninja with sound headbands and one man in civilian wear. Currently the group of ninja were throwing around things in and around the house without a care in the world. Che, so why do we have to bother getting this shit for you pencil pushers again? I mean we were only told that we needed test subjects not random materials. One of the sound ninja asked angrily. Well of course you muscle heads wouldn't understand. But all those fancy upgrades you guys wear take material. And if we run out of material then no more fancy toys or upgrades for you. The civilian told the man without fear. So chop chop, collect up all the useful metal. I don't want to be in this place all day. The man added clapping his hands. This of course didn't sit well for the already annoyed ninja and the man quickly found himself with a kunai resting on his throat. I think you need to remember just who is in charge. The man growled at the civilian who only smirked at the man. Hey, go ahead if you dare, but then you get to explain to the boss why his troops are stuck in this random shit stain of a town. The man told the ninja with surprisingly no fear at all. Che, we could have a replacement for you set up in a heartbeat. Don't let your given control go to your head. The man told him still not removing the Kwani. Ha, at the rate we are going we can't pump out control units fast enough to keep our minions managed. But if you think that I am wrong go right ahead. The civilian told him with the smug smirk staying on his face. Grr. The ninja growled tensing his arm but after a minute of thinking lowered the weapon and went back to the rest of the ninja. Just get the stuff and get me the fuck out of here, I want to be back to killing people like normal by sundown. The ninja told his group walking away from the civilian as the rest of them worked. Meanwhile the still hidden reconnaissance team watched the scene from afar with interest. Boss, did you hear that? These sound assholes are doing something, we have to get more information. One of the ninja quietly stated looking over at his team leader. Whatever this is you are right. The sound has to be to blame but these guys haven't given us enough to go off of. Huki, you remain hidden and keep the report of what we just heard safe. The rest of us will be contacting the enemy in front of us. But do not kill the ninja that attacked the civilian if at all possible, he seems to be the leader of the group. Though the civilian is our top priority. Do not let him escape by any means, his information will be vital for figuring this out. The leader ordered his men who quickly prepared for battle. Except for Huki who remained looking at his leader. Sir, can't I join the battle? With the amount of ninja we have here we have them outnumbered but not by a lot. Wouldn't it be better to have us all go? Huki asked. Sigh, Huki, I know you want to prove yourself seeing as you were just promoted but now is not the time. Remember, getting that information back to our village is the #1 priority, even if it's hardly anything. So, if things go south and we begin to lose, I order you to immediately leave us and rush back home as fast as you can. But until then watch the fight closely, who knows what weird things these sound ninja has on them. All those sound freaks are known for letting their bodies be mutated. The leader explained, for just like he told the group the sacrifice of one must sometimes be done to save 1,000. Course he didn't give Kuki any time to respond to him for soon after he finished talking he pulled out his own weapons and signaled his group to attack. With that being said they quickly throw several kunai into the building the sound ninja were going through only for each one of them to miss. Oh what the hell, the man that threatened the civilian grumbled after dodging the kunai. He then looked out of the house and saw the group of ninjas standing there. Hey, so I get to have some fun after all. He stated happily walking out of the building with the rest of his group following. Surrender now and cooperate and I promise your sentence will be a lot more humane. The leader of the reconnaissance team ordered. Hey, now why should I do that? The assumed leader asked. My boys here have been itching for a fight ever since we were stuck doing collection duty, so you better be enough to satisfy our bloodlust. He told the group with a crazed look. He then wasted no time rushing at the group and beginning the battle. Said battle was rather even with neither side gaining any ground even as various members of each side found wounds being created upon their bodies. Though slowly the reconnaissance team found the battle turning in their favor and with a luck hit ended the life of one of the sound lackeys. After that the sound ninja found the number imbalance grow more and more as they found themselves to be getting overpowered. Still, none of the sound team ever stopped fighting till their very end. After all, failing a mission might as well be death anyways for them. But eventually all that remained was the leader of the sound ninja who wasn't in perfect shape himself. The recon team did suffer losses of their own but they still were the overall victors of the scuffle. I will ask you one more time to surrender. You know there is no chance of you winning now that your lackeys are gone. The recon leader told the sound ninja, who just laughed. Ha ha ha, oh you got me good, there is no doubt about that. But in my village you can't come back empty-handed, so I am afraid I'll have to decline your offer. He told them with a wild smirk as he stuck his hand into his weapon pouch, ignoring the group around him tensing up. Then quickly, before they decided to attack, he pulled his hand back out, with the recon team able to see a small orb in his hand for a second before he quickly put it into his mouth. The sound ninja then swallowed the orb and stood still, watching the recon team with the crazed smile never leaving his face. I didn't want to use this damn thing, but you guys left me no choice. This is gonna hurt like a bitch later on though, the man told them, and complained about what they assumed were the side effect of whatever he just swallowed. None of them dared move in when something clearly unknown was happening, so they simply watched as the sound ninja suddenly tensed up and hunched over. Raw og hhh. The sound ninja suddenly yelled out after a few seconds, with the crazed look in his eyes even worse than before. But then, instead of acting cocky and talking shit like he was before, he instead quickly engaged the team in front of him with more strength than he had before. The recon team quickly found this sudden increase of power too much for themselves, as he was able to kill a few members of the team. This new version of the sound ninja completely changed his attack style from a rough combat style to being completely random. In fact, they quickly discovered he no longer cared as much about any of their attacks, even as they damaged him while he tried to get close to them, to instead focus on dishing it back to them. Thankfully for the recon team though, they found themselves able to finally end the man after he killed all but two of them, seeing as the overpowered man let more of their attacks through, which eventually added up. Well, we had no choice but to kill him. Now let's get the civilian and get out of here. I need a rest and a good drink. The recon leader told the other member, who nodded in agreement. Course they then both looked around and noticed that the civilian was nowhere to be found. Fuck, that bastard got away from us, he stated, stamping his foot down. Well, at least hopefully Huki kept an eye on him. He added, hoping that their team's deaths weren't for nothing. Leader, look, the other team member called out, pointing at the gate closest to them. For standing there was the civilian that they thought got away. But rather than getting away, the man apparently gathered backup. For standing behind him was at least 100 human-like beings that truly seemed almost monstrous to the two of them. Well, who would have guessed that guy couldn't hold up? The man stated with a shrug. Oh well, I guess I better collect what I can before getting some guards that are actually competent. The man said with a shrug. Stop, we won't let you escape. The recon leader called out to the man, who looked at them with a bored expression. Oh, don't worry, I know I have to clean up the mess those idiots left as well. The man told them with a cocky smirk. He then motioned to the both of them and simply stated, go get them. After which all of the mob behind him came running towards the two tired ninja. Oh, this just isn't my day. The leader grumbled, prepping his tired body to fight again. He also glanced over to where Huki hid and glared at the man, who was clearly getting ready to join in on the battle. Thankfully he was able to get the message just from body long alone. Stay the hell out of this. Darn fool still doesn't get that the leader's rules are law. If I survive this, I will be giving him a real ass kicking to remind him. The recon leader noted before focusing completely on the battle coming at him. The two ninja quickly found themselves surrounded by the weird creatures the civilian brow, but found them actually surprisingly weak. With the two weakened ninja able to already kill off about a fourth of the pack, but found the blood being spilt going everywhere around them. In fact, the excruciating pain that the recon leader felt spread up his arm quickly brought this to his attention. For on a cut on his arm the black blood rested, and he could see the black color quickly spread through his arm. What the hell is this? He called out in pain as the color traveled up his arm. Oh perfect, you are finally being transformed. The civilian stated, happily watching the fight. And soon enough the other recon team member found himself in a similar situation. Course as soon as this happened, the civilian called off the creatures he had and simply watched as the two cried out in pain as the color completely covered their body. Phew, it finally finished. The man stated, happily walking over to the two recon members. And you both managed to actually survive the transformation. You might actually be worth more than the cannon fodder you just killed off, he stated, looking over the two of them. Alright, the mission. The man muttered before looking back at the two recon members. You two caused me to have problems to explain. You guys get the stuff. Oh, and don't forget to strip the other ninja of their goodies as well. The man stated. Meanwhile, hidden from the civilian's view was Huki, who looked at the man with rage in his eyes. In fact, he was about to go down and kill off the man, but then remember the last words he told before the fight even started. He then looked down at the scroll he has been writing in with a bitter expression. The information comes first, he told himself, but grit his teeth at the idea. Still, he took one last look at his old teammates before turning around and running away from the man. "My team, forgive me, I don't have any desire to not let your deaths go unpunished, but I just can't ignore what Taicho ordered me to do," he thought sadly as he exited the village and disappeared into the forest surrounding them. Iwa, Cage Office. Onoki sat on his chair looking through the reports he has been receiving with a frown stuck on his face. For each scroll was worse than the last, explaining what was happening and left over from the towns and cities that were attacked. He couldn't help but fear these strange black creatures that seemed to spread like a virus to those around them. Truly, he was at a loss what to do with the information that he received. For while he was only reading about his own country, his spies have told that the same thing was happening for everywhere. So while he fully wanted to deal with this situation himself, he could easily figure out that whatever was going on was much bigger than any one village. Whatever these creatures were, they left him feeling a cold chill that he hasn't felt since the last war. Ah, these damn creatures and that damn sound village, how dare they cause all of these problems? Onoki yelled out in annoyance. Damn brats, always ruining everything. Back in my day we didn't have to worry about some weird creature that you couldn't touch its blood. We fought for real without such a dirty trick, he complained to himself. In all seriousness, this problem has serious potential to end the ninja world as we know it. Not just for my area but for everyone. After all, who cares if I can keep my people safe? With the way those things infect people, all it would do is make us the last stand with the entire world attacking us. As much as I hate to think it, there really is only one way we can have a chance to cut this problem down by the roots. Anbu, Onoki called out, and one of the members appeared in front of him right away. Yes, Onoki-sama, the man said, giving proper respect to the small old man in front of him. Prepare some messenger hawks, I think it's time for us cages to discuss recent events, he told the man seriously. Chapter 83, Doctor's Office, Shizuka. Well, I guess it is time to officially congratulate you, Doctor, Mai told her with a smile. Why, you mean, Shizuka mumbled with a blush only to get a nod. Yes, you are officially in the starting phase of your pregnancy, Doctor, Mai told her, then watched amused as she watched Shizuka rub her stomach gently. Now you can spend your day rubbing your non-existent bump in wonder, or you can go tell people the good news, she adds, making Shizuka blush even more. All right. Thank you, Drive. Mai, Shizuka told her with a quick bow before walking towards the hospital's exit. Make sure to come back later for proper instructions and information, Doctor, Mai called out after the girl, who just continued to walk. She then sat down in her chair and relaxed. I wonder just how crazy that kid's chakra is gonna be, she couldn't help but ponder. After all, she was well aware of just how ridiculous Uzumaki clan members' chakra was said to be. Cage Office. After coming out of the hospital, Shizuka immediately ran as fast as she could directly to her mother's office and barged into the room itself. An act that was permitted by the guards only because she was clearly family and they had more than enough members on duty in case it somehow was a trick. Mom, Shizuka yelled out, a bit out of breath from her trip. Yes honey, what is it that made you come barging into my office? Suyoi asked, even though she had a fair idea. It's official. You finally have your grandchild on the way, Shizuka told her with a small smirk as she placed a hand on her stomach again. Oh honey, that is wonderful, Suyoi told her daughter with a smile on her face, giving her a hug. I know it surely isn't the plan that you dreamed about, but you have to be happy to know you have your own little one to spoil and watch grow up, she added, making Shizuka blush. Why yay, it kind of has passed my mind, Shizuka admitted. After all, she has already been going through various things that she could do with her daughter, and imagining various moments as she rushed to the office. But what if I am not a good mother? What if I mess up? What if I hurt her before she is even fully developed? Shizuka asked, panicking a little, only for her mother to put a finger on Shizuka's lips simply to stop her from talking. Shish, it's okay honey. There are loads of people here that can help guide you to be ready for taking care of your little tyke and how to be careful during the pregnancy. To start off, make sure you get the information Mai has for you and carefully read every last bit of it. But always remember there are loads of us gals that will happily help you. Suyoi tells her, calming Shizuka down a fair bit. She then takes a step away from her and gives her a smile that failed to reach her eyes. Something that made Shizuka shiver in fear, knowing her mother's rage when she was upset. But if I hear about you doing stuff even though you know it will hurt my grandchild's development, I will personally tie you to a bed and keep you from leaving until I get said grandchild. She added, placing a hand on her daughter's shoulder. Understood. Hi, Shizuka told her with her back stiff from fear. Good, her mother told her, quickly loosing her cold look. Now how about you go let the future dad know the news? She told Shizuka, who quickly nodded and ran back out of the room. Pregnancy. One of the worst things to go through, but also one of the most worthwhile things that can happen to a woman. Suyoi muttered happily, watching her daughter speed off yet again. Hotel. Currently Naruto was sitting with Tsunade, Shizune, Jiraiya, and his girlfriend around the table in Tsunade's room. Course this made for a tight fit even for the rather luxurious room, but they made it work. They were at the moment just having some snacks while talking about various subjects. After all, this trip now was basically a vacation now that all of the hard work was done. Course Naruto still had a task to do, but for most men it was a task they wouldn't consider to be work anyways. Still, they simply continued to enjoy their time even as they heard a commotion going on outside of the room. Thought that is until one of the Anbu entered the room and reported to Tsunade. Sigh, stupid girl, Tsunade muttered with a shake of her head, then turned to the man. Just let her in, she won't be of any danger to me. She told the man, who quickly left to do just that. A few seconds later Shizuka walked into the room with two Anbu guiding her on either side. You may leave, Tsunade told the team, who left Shizuka by herself and went back to their normal guard positions that were set up around the hotel. Shizuka, why are you here? Naruto asked, surprised that she would seemingly try to rush through the hotel only to be caught by the Anbu. I had to come talk to you, and it couldn't wait. She told him honestly and then muttered the last part. For in her rush to tell him she actually managed to forget that the hotel actually had security thanks to the Hokage being there. So, much to her embarrassment, she only realized her folly after she was already being captured by the Anbu. Sigh, these crazy kids, Tsunade grumbled before looking towards the Anbu. You can release her. The only danger she is to me is possibly causing a headache. Tsunade told the group, who quickly followed her order and left the blushing girl in the room. I'm sorry, Lady Tsunade, Shizuka muttered, knowing that she messed up. Hey, don't worry, brat. I understand that newlyweds can't wait to connect with each other as soon as they can. She told her teasingly and watched happily as the girl's blush increased dramatically. Ba-chan, please stop teasing her. Naruto told her, walking up to his wife. So, what did you need me for, Shizuka-chan? Naruto asked her gently. Oh yeah, Shizuka said as she moved past her embarrassment and looked directly at Naruto. I have great news to tell you, she told him with a smile. After all, even if she was nervous, she was very happy knowing that she will have a baby. I'm pregnant, she told him, making Naruto freeze up out of shock. Pregnant, Naruto muttered. After all, even though he knew what their mission was, the shock still hit him hard. For there is a huge difference between thinking making a baby versus actually finding out you are going to have one. Well, look at that brat, you really got strapped down to this one. Jiraiya says, laughing at his student until Tsunade hit him into the floor. Tisk, shut up, pervert, but at least I won't have to deal with annoying issues now. Tsunade said, seeing as this plan was basically partially attached to the alliance they had. Congratulations, Shizuka-san. Please let me know if you need anything before we have to leave. Haku told her formally, seeing as in her mind she put herself as a maid role to anyone in Naruto's family line. I am glad you are happy. Ayame told her with a smile. Yeah, good for you. Hinata grumbled, seeing as she still wasn't over having another first taken from her. I am going to be a father. Naruto mumbled, going a bit pale. What do I do? Naruto muttered, panicking a bit. For the idea of having a little child to take care of was something he never thought about and felt far from ready to handle. Course his thoughts were halted after Tsunade walked over to him and smacked him on the head. Stop your muttering, brat. This little tyke will be taken care of by this village, so you don't need to worry about things like that yet, but you better come see them every now and then to show that they are loved even with villages keeping you apart. Got it? She told him, stating the last part as a threat. After all, even if the child was most likely going to be a woman trained to only follow the Kunoichi village ways, she still deserved to know and meet her father. Right, Naruto said with a mix of emotions clear on his face. It is the way of my people, Naruto-kun. You aren't abandoning me to a fate I didn't want or anything. We just have different villages we are loyal to and different beliefs to follow, but I still want to have you visit me. Shizuka told him with a blush on her face. Hey, yeah, I will for sure. There is no way I will let any child of mine to not know just how loved they are by me. Naruto told her in a typical nice guy pose, seeing as he always wanted a large family to love, and this was just the start. Oh, you just knocked her up and want to make sure she knows you want seconds. Way to go, my student, your method is almost perfect. Jiraiya told him, crying tears of joy. For the only thing the super pervert wouldn't have done himself was risk knocking a girl up, if he could help it. Course he didn't pay attention to the tick mark Tsunade gained as she yet again smashed him into the ground. You just don't know when to be quiet, do you? She asked, glaring down at the man. She then looked over at the rest of the group and quickly glanced through them until she stopped at one in particular. Ya know, this might be the best chance to say it, she thought with a shrug. Anyways, we should all celebrate the new mother-to-be. How about all of ya go to a restaurant and have a party, on me? Tsunade told them with a small smile. Are you sure, Lady Tsunade? Ino asked with a hopeful gleam in her eyes. After all, if there was one thing she loved was a good party. Ya go have some fun, all of you. Oh, and Naruto, make sure you keep spending time with Shizuka. We have to leave pretty soon, so get your honeymoon phase over with already. She told him, then enjoyed the blush both of the young adults gained. Ba-chan. Naruto called embarrassed, but she paid him no mind and instead just pushed him out of the door. Yeah, just go have fun with your wife and girlfriends while I am in a good mood. She told him, then watched as all of the rest of the group bar Jiraiya left the room. Or she would have had she not grab onto the shoulder of Ayame as the girl passed her. Actually, Ayame-san, if you don't mind, I need a word with you, it will only take a minute. Tsunade told the woman, who nodded and sat back down in a chair. What is it, Tsunade-sama? Ayame asked, curious, as the older woman sat across from her. Well, as you know, the start of this whole situation was because the leader's daughter needed to finally produce an heir. What you don't know is exactly why this was pushed so hard. Tsunade told the confused girl before pulling out a bottle of sake from a storage scroll and 2 cups. Feel free to have some, you probably are gonna need it. She added before taking a large sip. Anyways, the reason Shizuka had to make sure a heir was in the works was because at least her mother and me can both agree that there seems to be a war brewing in the shadows, or at least something big. So, in order to send out your valuable resources, you must make a recovery plan if the worst thing happens, like a Kage losing her life along with a new mother. Tsunade told her, making Ayame gasp. Why, you mean her mother is worried about them both dying in the near future? Asks, horrified by the idea. Indeed. But this is more of a worst-case scenario, seeing as the child might not even be born before trouble arrives, or there might not be any at all. But part of being a Kage is making sure our village's valuable assets are protected even if there is only a chance. Tsunade told Ayame, then downed another cup of sake. Okay, but why am I being told this? All I do is make ramen with my father. I don't have any ability to help with things that important. Ayame told her, trying desperately to see what this chat was leading to. Well, my dear, that is where you are wrong. Tsunade told her with a straight face. Do you remember the whole reason I let that brat start to date all of you, even though I loathe perverts who dream of harems? Tsunade asked. Because he is the last of a bloodline. Right, Ayame states. Exactly. Something that makes that brat actually one of the village's precious assets, seeing as if we lose him we lose that bloodline. But yet he is a piece that could truly be needed in a war. Tsunade explained, choosing not to go into detail about Naruto's strength or the beast he contained. So, what do you think would be the best way to solve this problem? Tsunade then asked the woman in front of her. I guess the only way to have him join a battle like that while making sure there is no chance of losing his genes would be to have him produce a child before he goes out to fight. Ayame told Tsunade after some thought. There then was a long pause before either spoke as Ayame thought further about the current conversation and the answer she just gave. She then quickly gained a blush that basically covered her entire head. Why, you can't possibly mean that you want me to get pregnant, right? Ayame asked, thinking she misunderstood. Ayame then watched as Tsunade sighed and took yet another cup of sake before speaking. Indeed, I am Ayame. Tsunade told her seriously. But I am just an ordinary civilian. Wouldn't it better to let Hinata have her wish or something? Sigh. First off, seeing as I actually like you, I want to point out that none of what I am about to say should be taken personally. But yes, you are right. Mixing Naruto's genes with an already secured clan would be a preferred choice as the village leader. But in this case, each of those clans' valid options are valuable warriors themselves. And while I could set Naruto up with a member of the clans that isn't battle ready, it would lead me to more problems. For starters, the reasons those members are not capable of battle could be birth-related and possibly cause issues for the child created from them. And on a more personal note, I don't want to be the one to send Naruto with a drastically older woman. Tsunade admitted. For as far as the clans go, the people that weren't actually ninja was only housekeepers, mothers, kids, ninjas who were injured, ninjas who suffered career-ending injuries, and those unfortunate enough to not be able to become a ninja due to problems they were born with. And needless to say, each one of these had a list of problems to go with them. With the lightest being the one taken out of the ninja career. But even then, most of them settle into a vice that helps them cope with the horrible things that happened to them, thus making their bodies not as optimal for childbirth as they once were. But the main reason she went to Ayame was because of Tsunade's soft spot for Naruto. After all, she didn't want to be the one to stick him into a loveless relationship if she didn't need to. After waiting for this information to sink into the girl, Tsunade continued. So, if you could think of it more as a favor to me than anything else, but I would like you to think about approving the plan to have you be our village's emergency backup, so to speak. Now know that if you did, you would have funding and backing from the village itself, so you wouldn't have to worry about the expenses of a child. Suede told her to finish her explanation. I don't know what to say, this is just too much for me to handle right away. Ayame admitted with various thoughts running through her head. And I don't expect you to. I just wanted to ask you rather than force you, seeing as I have come to care for you. Oh, and know that even though I am asking you, I by no means am forcing you to be the person that does this. Like I said, there are other options, but on a more personal reason, I think you to be the best choice. So, please just think about it for me, but know that while I gave you some time, I will eventually have to make a decision. Tsunade told the girl before standing up and walking over to her. She then gently placed her hand on Ayame's shoulder. I am sorry for bringing up such a serious topic, please just try to enjoy the last of the trip. But just give this some thought when you can. Tsunade tells Ayame, feeling bad. For while she didn't want to push things onto the younger generation, there still was some things that she was required to do, seeing as the blonde brat made her don the Kage's title. Okay. Ayame muttered, still lost in thought, then walked to the door. Are you coming with us? She asked, looking back at the older woman who shook her head. No, Shizune will handle paying for stuff. I am happy here, Tsunade told her, pointing at the bottle on the table. Then enjoy your day, Hokage-sama. Ayame muttered, walking out of the room. Finally, after Tsunade was sure she left, Tsunade sat back down in the chair she was in before and immediately slouched in said chair. Aw man, this job truly sucks at times. I don't know why the brat wants this horrible job so much. Tsunade grumbled, grabbing the bottle of sake and taking a large gulp. Tisk, even the sake tastes off now. Tsunade grumbled. Still, she continued to drink until she got the buzz she so often desired. Plus a while later, the rest of the time that the Konoha group spent in the Kunoichi village was basically a small vacation. Course, it wasn't that much time, but after the wedding finished and Naruto did his mission, they didn't have anything else to worry about. So, the younger generation used this time to enjoy themselves while getting to know Shizuka, while Tsunade spent a lot of time drinking while lost in her thoughts. As for Jiraiya, well, he was under careful watch from the Anbu after his several attempts to spy on the women of the village. Meaning the old man was basically under house arrest while his mind ran rampant about all of the research he was missing. Until finally it was time for them to head back. Nadashiko village gate. Well, thank you for coming and finally making good on a promise that should have been handled a long time ago. Suyoi stated, glaring at Jiraiya. Hey, I can't help how I am. Jiraiya told her, clearly not feeling sorry at all. Course this made him receive a hit to the head by Tsunade. It is no problem, and I promise if this idiot ever comes back and causes trouble he will lose the equipment he cares all so much about. Tsunade told her, making a squeeze movement that made the man go completely pale. N noted. Jiraiya stated, crossing his legs. Well, I guess this is goodbye for now, but I promise I will come and visit you. Naruto told Shizuka awkwardly as he rubbed the back of his head. Why, yay, I'll be waiting for you. Shizuka muttered, clearly feeling just as awkward. After all, they were both officially soon to be parents, but yet they would be living in two separate villages. Something that may be normal in the world they lived in but was very different when you are actually involved in it. Hey, don't worry, you two. It may be weird for you now, but you will get used to this feeling. Suyoi told them after noticing the two of them together. She then focused completely on Naruto. And while I do hope you come see your kid and spend some time with my daughter, make sure you don't feel too bad about the child. Even though it's not perfect, these kinds of things happen. In fact, it is rather rare for one of our mates to come and actually spend their lives with their wife. Anyways, my point is that we will make sure that the little tyke will be well taken care of no matter what. Suyoi told him, then leaned in closer to him. But make sure you come back for visits often. After all, even if the kid will be well taken care of, the mother needs to be taken care of as well. She whispered to him, making him blush. Mom, Shizuka yelled out with a blush on her face. What? I am just saying that I want you to stay friends. You two are the one who took it that way. Suyoi told her with a mischievous smirk, as she was well aware what was in the minds of both of the young adults. Cough. Anyways, thank you for the hospitality. But I am afraid we must return to our village. May the will of fire protect you and all that jazz. Tsunade told the Kage that she has become okay friends with during their time in the village. Hey, ya see ya later. Suyoi told her, not caring about protocol much, seeing as the villagers were all out of hearing range anyways. Everyone then watched as Shizuka quickly rushed up and gave a quick kiss on the lips to Naruto. If it had to be anyone else, I am glad it was you, Naruto-kun. Come back soon. Shizuka told him, then went back over to her mother. And with that, the Konoha group left with a blushing Naruto being teased by the girls around him. Sigh, this is going to be a long trip back. But life sure is gonna be interesting now that I have to figure out how to take care of a kid that I won't even be living with. Naruto thought as they went on their journey home. For mothers, first-time mothers, I will just say this now, on the off chance you are reading this story. As a male with currently no kids, I have no idea what the father is thinking about, let alone what the mother is thinking about. I am only going off what makes sense to me for a mother to feel when they have no experience and can't go to the internet to search for all of the answers. As for how Naruto reacts, well, if they actually cared about the child, I couldn't see a dad not panic the first time they have to deal with it, even if they tried to prepare. Village gate. Suyoi watched the direction that the Konoha ninja left for a few seconds before finally turning to her daughter. Way to go, hun, you sure know how to make sure they remember you. Suyoi told her teasingly as she noticed Shizuka blushing up a storm. I don't know why I did that, it just felt like the right thing to do. Shizuka told her mother, a bit confused. Oh, it seems like you actually managed to come to love that blonde, good to hear. Suyoi told her. For while she was teasing her daughter, she really was truly happy that this political marriage didn't end up as a loveless one after all. Konoha. After the long journey, Tsunade and the rest of the group finally made it back to the village. Well, it wasn't that long of a break, but it was enjoyable. Ino stated happily as she walked through the gate. Yay, though it sucks now that I have to do actual work again. Tsunade muttered. Lady Tsunade. Shizune called out at the older woman. What? I was kidding. Tsunade told her. She then glanced over at the rest of the group. Anyways, all of you are free to do whatever you want now, but Ayame, please just let me know when you make your decision. Tsunade told the group before heading off towards the cage tower with Shizune following. What does she mean, decision? Naruto asked, looking over at Ayame, who quickly blushed. It's nothing. I just had a talk with Tsunade-sama a while ago. She told him, waving her hands in front of her. Oh, what were you guys talking about? Naruto asked her, curious, missing the fact that her blush was getting worse and she seemed to be a bit uncomfortable. Naruto-sama, it seems that it was a rather personal conversation. You appear to be making Ayame-san uncomfortable with the current conversation. Haku told Naruto, who quickly looked at Ayame with wide eyes. Really? Naruto asked, surprised. He then quickly bowed to Ayame. I am sorry Ayame-chan, I won't bring it up again. He quickly told her with his head still down. For the last thing he wanted to ever do was to make one of his girlfriends uncomfortable. But he quickly found his hair being ruffled with and looked up to see a smiling Ayame. Thank you Naruto-kun. It wasn't that big of a deal, but I am glad to see that you care. Ayame tells him with a small smile. Kage office. After leaving the group, Tsunade quickly made her way up to her office and opened the door without any care in the world. Hello Shikaku, was there anything troublesome happening while I was gone? Tsunade asked with a smirk, as she knew it bothered him when others used his family's catchphrase. Darn woman, Shikaku muttered under his breath before refocusing himself. Actually yes. We have had news of several attacks all around the Fire County that seem to be at random. Upon investigating, it seems that both the Sound Village and the black-blooded creatures seem to be responsible for these attacks mainly, other than that there hasn't been anything too notable happening. But I left you a few scrolls to look through just in case I missed anything. Shikaku told her with his smirk growing just a bit, seeing as he knew Tsunade hated paperwork just about as much as he hated any work at all. TCH. Thank you so much for that. Tsunade told him with a vein visibly pulsing on her head. Course, before their banter could be continued, another ninja came rushing into the room out of breath. Shikaku-san, we have a... The man began, then noticed that Tsunade and Shizune were also in the room. My apologizes Hokage-sama. The man told her, bowing at her, seeing as he barged in on her meeting. Something no one was supposed to do without at least knocking to gain permission. Tisk, enough of that, what is so important that you ran full force over here? Tsunade asked, not caring at all about the interruption. Course, the man just held out a scroll that had Iwa's seal present on the paper. Though the seal was of course broken currently, seeing as they had to make sure it wasn't a trap sent to the Hokage. Still seeing this, Tsunade quickly went completely serious as she quickly read through the scroll. Well, it seems that Ayame might not have as much time to choose as I had hoped. Tsunade muttered, looking over at Shikaku, who was still sitting at her desk. Well, what are you waiting for, lazy ass? Move so I can get a reply made up. Tsunade told him, and the man was quick to comply. May I ask what Iwa sent us? Shikaku asked, curious, seeing as they were the last people that ever wanted to talk with them. That old cripple wants to have a meeting of the cages. It turns out those damn creatures are apparently a bigger problem than I'd imagined. Tsunade told him seriously. Plus side story, Kiba's experience plus tilde. Kiba was currently walking around the village all by himself, seeing as Orochimaru was currently getting a checkup. So, with nothing really planned to do, he simply wandered around the village until he finally got whiff of a very familiar smell. Something that he quickly followed with a smile on his face until he finally reached a bakery. At said bakery was his teammate Hinata, sitting at one of the outdoor seats happily eating one of her beloved cinnamon buns. Perfect, I can spend some time hanging out with Hinata while I wait. Kiba muttered himself happily, that is until he noticed that Naruto was sitting near Hinata, making him stop walking almost immediately. Tisk, of course he has to be on a date with her. Honestly, it's bad enough that he stole her from me, but he has to show of being all lovey-dovey. Kiba complained, now moving to hide himself so that they would not find him, but close enough for him to still keep an eye on them. After all, he wished to continue to glare at Naruto resentfully. After all, if there was a just world, Hinata's silly crush on Naruto would have disappeared and be replaced by him after all of his excellent flirting. He then lost himself in such a fantasy until he saw Naruto look directly at him. Huh, why is he looking over here? I made sure I was hidden from them. Kiba told himself, but still kept on watching. Course he almost wish he didn't, seeing as he swore he saw Naruto smile as he grabbed Hinata and pulled her over to his side and happily put her on his lap. An action that produced a large blush on the girl, but she made no attempt to remove herself from her new seat. Finally, after Hinata got herself comfortable and restarted eating her favorite snack, Naruto happily wrapped his arms around her in a hug. Meanwhile Kiba decided that Naruto must have made this happen just to show off to him and seethed in jealousy as the shy girl happily stayed on top of someone other than himself. Damn bastard. Kiba growled out. Just because Hinata somehow was brainwashed him doesn't mean that he has to brag about it. I don't have to stand around and take this. Kiba growled out and finally left his hiding spot and walked away at a much brisker pace. Anything to get him far away from Naruto's bragging. Due to this he was unable to stop himself from running into Shino, who managed to catch himself after stumbling back a few steps. Oh, sorry Shino, I didn't see you there. Kiba apologized to the stoic man. He then looked his teammate over and was rather surprised. For while he still had a lot of his skin covered up by clothes, his current outfit was much more stylized rather than the normal one-color one. Oh, what's the special occasion? Kiba asked his quiet friend. I have a picnic planned. Shino tells him simply in his normal neutral tone, making Kiba sweat drop. That really doesn't tell me much of anything. Kiba thought, but was too used to his friend's antics to comment further on it. Well, sorry for stopping you. Kiba awkwardly told him with a small smile. Course Shino paid no mind to the awkwardness and simply nodded his head and walked away from Kiba. Though now Kiba's curiosity was piqued yet again as his previous jealousy was quickly forgotten about. So, with that in mind he began to follow Shino as the bug user walked out of the village and ended up in a clearing only a few minutes away from the village. What truly surprised him though was a rather cute girl was already in the area happily bouncing around the clearing. Shino-kun, you're finally here. The girl called out happily as she rushed over to him with a wide smile. Yes, but I came right on time. I would never be late for our date. Shino told the girl, who laughed a bit. He, I know, but I was so excited for the picnic that I just couldn't wait and got here early. Fu told him, giving Shino a hug. Oh, and I gotta tell you that this area is perfect for the meal. She told him with a smile. Yes, well, let's get everything set up, Shino told her, pulling out a scroll. But are you sure you are happy with this as our first date? Shino asked, actually sounding a bit nervous. What are you talking about? Of course this is the perfect first date for us, unless you don't want to. I am new to this dating thing. Fu told him, blushing and nervously playing with her hands. No, I am happy with whatever you want to do, Fu-chan. Shino told her, and if one was to look carefully they would notice a blush on his face as well. Perfect. Then let's get this all set up. Fu told him, pumping a fist into the air. Meanwhile, a bit away from the two of them, Kiba was watching this scene with wide eyes. What, Shino has a girlfriend? Kiba stated, stunned. And she is actually good looking. How does someone who doesn't even talk really get a good looking babe to be with before me? Kiba asks, seeing as this is just too ridiculous for him to wrap his mind around. Course he then looked back at the date and sweat dropped at the scene he saw. For while Fu and Shino did indeed take out food, it is what they did with the food that he found strange. For rather than eating a meal together, both of them left the food out and were happily watching as various bugs came to eat the easy food. Okay, I feel a lot less jealous of Shino, Kiba muttered to himself and was gonna leave them alone, but saw a swarm of bugs come close to him. Then after a few seconds Kiba found Shino standing right next to him. What are you doing here, Kiba-san? Shino asked, almost sounding slightly angry. Well, I was curious when I heard you were going for a picnic and were dressed different than your normal, so I got curious. Don't worry, I ain't gonna steal bug girl from you. Kiba told him, patting Shino on the back. She may be cute, but if she is gonna be weird enough to be as obsessed about bugs as you are, then she's not my type. He told him with a smile. Course he failed to notice that for once in his life Shino actually was showing emotion on his face, through glaring at Kiba. What's up, man? I mean, I'm used to you using your bugs, but I never thought an attractive girl would pick such a strange hobby. So, don't worry, I won't use the Kiba charm to win her over, she is the perfect weirdness level for you. Kiba told him and began to walk away from the area. Thank you, Kiba, but one last thing. Shino told Kiba as he walked away, making him turn back to Shino. It's a picnic, so everyone needs to eat. Shino told Kiba, and all of a sudden a swarm of bugs came off Shino and swarmed around Kiba. Said bugs made quick work of Kiba's chakra as he was far too surprised by the attack to actually protect himself. Shino then calmly waited until Kiba passed out from chakra exhaustion before quickly writing him a note. After which he quickly put the note in Kiba's hand and swapped with the clone he left with Fu to actually Enjoy his date. Plus a while later plus. Eventually Kiba woke up and groggily stood up trying to figure out what happened before his memories came back to him. Why did Shino have to be such an ass? All I said is that he didn't need to fear me taking his girlfriend from him. Kiba muttered, stretching his sore joints. Finally after this he noticed the letter that was left for him, seeing as it fell out of his hand and gently began to float down to the ground. Course he easily caught the letter and quickly glanced through it. Kiba, while I am well aware of your tendency to act before thinking, I request that you desist your spying of me during my normal life. If I find you doing so again, you can expect much worse than this small slap on the wrist. But for insulting my girlfriend, I feel you deserve yet another punishment. So, you will find yourself getting rather itchy as the flea colony I had takes residence on you. Don't worry, they won't get on Orochimaru, seeing as he is actually smart unlike his owner. I'll come and collect the colony in a week as long as you don't mess with my Fu-chan. Seeing this, Kiba crumpled up the note annoyed and threw it over his shoulder. Tisk, acting like I did something wrong, I was just curious. Kiba grumbled but quickly found himself itching. Ah, damn you, Shino. Kiba yelled out as the fleas did what they were known to do. Chapter 84. Plus Hokage Tower, Underground Room Plus. After Tsunade sent a response back to the Tsuchikage, she got a response relatively fast, seeing as the Haas had such a long distance to travel. On the reply was for the most part just a date and a time. Something that the Tsuchikage was allowed to pick the time for their group meeting, seeing as he was the one who initiated the meeting. It was the rest of them that had to fit said meeting into their schedule. After all, it wasn't very productive to have hawk after hawk fly just for something as simple as a meeting time. Still, the time eventually came and Tsunade quickly looked around the room, which was filled with strange batter devices that made the room smell of chemicals. All of these devices were then set up to blocky TVs and a strange device that was set up for record her picture. Overall, it was quite a wild and mad scientist look to the room, but this was the setup with what was some of the most advanced technology their world had to offer. Okay everyone, let's get this process started. Tsunade called out and watched as the few people in the room quickly got to work activating the power generators and making sure the setup was all ready for her. Finally, after a few minutes of prep time, the TVs light up with power coursing through them. Soon enough, each of the screens went from a blank backdrop to showing to the various cages sitting in chairs. Finally, after everyone arrived, the Tsuchikage coughed and brought all of their attention to him. Well, thank you all for coming, even if some did take their sweet time in getting here. Onoki told them. Tisk, I got here on time, you old fart. It's just takes time for these stupid things to warm up. A growled out. Ho. Who would have ever thought the man that prided his lighting style to have electricity problems? May added in with a light laugh that only made the large man even more annoyed. Sigh, can we please keep ourselves focused on the matter at hand? Gaara asked annoyed. If you would, Tsuchikage-san. He added. Right, at least the youngest of you brats have some respect. I am sure that everyone has been learning about these creatures with black blood running around and causing problems. Onoki started with his complaints being muttered under his breath. He then glanced around at the images on his side and saw no one confused. Perfect, I am sure that you have done your own research. And learned various things all by yourself at the price of your ninja. I am here today to say that I personally find this process far too slow and dangerous for the problem at hand. From what I know currently, the most we wait the more creatures will be made, seeing as they never seem to stop hunting down towns to convert. Onoki explained seriously. Unfortunately, it is worse than that. A while ago I had a team of ninja raid some Orochimaru's bases where they first encountered those creatures. Apparently, my bastard of an old teammate is the reason we are having issues, but I still don't know just what he is planning. Tsunade told them. Tisk, of course the problem started with Konoha, it's always the leaf causing problems. Onoki muttered, not caring that everyone heard him. Oh, shut up, you old bastard. Tsunade growled out annoyed. You are old too. You just hide it under that damn jutsu of yours. He complained. Cough, can we get back on track please? These machines don't give us much time to talk. May told them, glancing off the screen. Right, anyways, let us meet together in person to discuss the response to this problem without having to worry about such things. Onoki told them, refocusing himself. Let us meet in exactly 1 week at noon in the Land of Iron. He added, with everyone simply agreeing with him. After which every one of them turned off their screens and refocused on what was going on in the room they were actually in. In Tsunade's case, the smell of burnt chemicals became practically unbearable and the heat they gave off made the room swelteringly hot. God, I hate these stupid things. We really need to find a way to make electricity without these horrible things. Tsunade complained. Well, when you figure it out let me know, Shikaku told her, uncaringly ignoring the glare that was sent his way. Meanwhile. After finally getting home and putting stuff away, Naruto finally sat down in his apartment only for a knock on the door to sound off from his front door. Of course, after I finally get to relax. Naruto muttered but still stood up and walked over to find that it was Hinata at the door. Hinata-chan, what are you doing here? Naruto asked, confused. After all, even if for the girls it was more of a vacation than anything else, but he still figured they would want to relax at home for a while after finally getting back. Well, Naruto-kun, after you spent so much time with Shizuka-chan, I figure it's finally time for me to get a turn. Hinata told him with a smile. Your turn? You spent a good portion of the time after the wedding with us. Naruto told her, seeing as the girl practically refused to leave them alone much after letting Shizuka have her wedding day to herself. Why, you mean you don't want to spend time with me? Hinata asked, looking disappointed. Something that destroyed any chance of Naruto denying her desire, seeing as it was such a simple thing. No, I love spending time with you. I just thought you would be tired. What do you want to do? Naruto asked her and watched as she instantly went back to being happy. Excellent. Meet me in an hour at my house and I will let you know what we are going to be doing. Hinata told him and happily walked away from him. I feel like she just played me like a fiddle. Naruto muttered, watching the girl leave, but didn't actually find himself being all that annoyed by this fact. So, he just sat down and decided to be lazy until he had to get ready for his date. Plus 1 hour later. After being lazy for a little while, Naruto quickly got dressed in his normal casual wear and calmly waited in front of the Hyuga compound. Soon enough though, he saw Hinata come out to greet him in a rather nice but simple kimono. Hey Hinata, are we doing something fancy today? I can change if I need to. Naruto told her, seeing the discrepancy between their outfits. Nope, don't worry about it Naru-kun, don't worry, you look good enough to me. Hinata tells him with a small smile and a kiss on the cheek. Thank you Hinata-hime, Naruto told her, blushing a bit while being surprised how forward she was being today. Well, shall we get going to wherever you want to go? Naruto asked. Well, actually I have a little surprise for you to start off with before we go, Hinata told him, still standing still even as Naruto looked at her curiously. Finally, after a few seconds of him waiting, Hinata calmly pushes a smaller teen out from behind her. You see, Hanabi wanted to come with me after hearing what I had planned for today. Hinata told him with a smile. Meanwhile, Hanabi couldn't help but gain a blush on her face as Naruto looked at her. Currently she was wearing a kimono just like her sister, but hers is a slightly darker shade of purple. Well, hello again Hanabi-chan, I hope you enjoy yourself with us then. Naruto told her with a smile. Why yay, Hanabi muttered, blushing even more after noticing the fact her voice stuttered at first. Course Naruto didn't notice anything wrong and simply brought his focus back to Hinata. Welp, I guess do you want to take the lead and show us what you have planned for us? Naruto asked, ready to get started, making Hinata giggle and do just that. The group of three then began walking through Konoha with Hinata in the lead and Naruto and Hanabi walking close behind her. Though Naruto was rather confused as he felt Hanabi walking close enough that every now and then she would accidentally brush against him. Still, seeing as it wasn't actually harming anything, he said nothing and simply continued walking to what ended up being a tea shop. Well, tea is nice, but I don't know why we couldn't have just gotten it from her house or even from my apartment. Oh well, it will be nice to have some properly brewed tea. Naruto thought with a mental shrug as they sat down and each ordered a different type of tea and quickly found themselves sitting with said tea in front of them. This is nice, Naruto happily told them as he felt the tea's warmth relax him as the flavors filled his mouth. But what made you want to come for tea? I'd have figured you would want to get your fix of cinnamon buns after being away from them for so long. Naruto told her teasingly. I'm not that bad, Hinata told him with an embarrassed blush. I just thought it would be nice to relax with tea as our first part of our date, though I am a bit surprised that we each got a different type. Hinata told Naruto, then glanced over at her sister. In fact, let me try some of yours. Hinata told her with a smile, and before the slightly younger girl could say anything she found her tea stolen. If one was to look over at this moment they would notice the slight pout Hanabi had on her face before glancing over at Naruto's teacup with a blush. She then took said cup and quickly took a sip before setting it back down in front of Naruto. If we are going to be trying each other's teas, then it's only fair if we are all stuck doing it. Hanabi told them with the blush still on her face. Something that only grew worse when she saw Naruto shrug the action off and continue drinking like nothing happened. I want to be mad at sis for stealing my stuff, but I guess she was hinting that an indirect kiss would be the start of today's plan. I just wish that Naruto had more of a reaction to it like I did. Hanabi thought. After all, while today's day was seemingly brought on randomly, it was actually far from the truth. For after Hinata came back they finally had a conversation that ended up with a plan for Hanabi to show the blonde what she has decided. After all, now that she decided that she wanted to act on her feelings, she must make said blonde notice that they are actually there. Sadly though, even with this event going on, the rest of their time at the tea shop was spent on mindless chatter and the indirect kiss was all but ignored. But eventually they finished their teas and moved on from the shop. They then continued until they reached a clothing store. Didn't you girls just go shopping? Naruto asked, confused. Why, of course we did. But Hanabi happens to need some new outfits. I promise it won't be long and we can go to our real date destination. Okay. Hinata asks, tilting her head a bit to the side. Hey, don't worry Hinata-chan, that's no problem with me. I'm happy whenever I get to spend time with you girls. Naruto told her, giving her a quick kiss on her lips. He, that's our Naruto. Always the pleaser. Hinata tells him with a smile. If you are done, I'd like to get started. Hanabi grumbles, pushing past them by squeezing between them and into the store. Hey, well, I guess she is just a bit impatient. Hinata states with a small giggle as they follow her into the store. The next few minutes was filled with Hanabi glancing through the clothes on sale while grabbing various articles and piling them on her arm. Though Hanabi eventually decided to acknowledge the two of them again and walked over to them. Okay, I am ready to try some outfits on. Do you guys mind telling me how they look? Hanabi asks, getting a cheesy thumbs up from Naruto. Don't worry Hanabi-chan, we are happy to help you. Naruto told her without hesitation. This ended up being all the girl needed as she walks into one of the changing booths, leaving Hinata and Naruto alone. Sorry that I am making you do this, Naruto-kun. I meant for this just to be a nice relaxing date before we had to get back to missions, but I owed her a favor. Hinata told him awkwardly. Don't worry Hinata-chan, it's nice to see that you care for your sister enough to change your plans for her. Naruto told her, not bothered by the current situation at all. Naruto-kun, I am sorry for lying to you, but it is for a good cause, I promise. After all, even if they hide it, every man is a bit of a pervert. And all perverts think about the different types of girls. Hinata thinks, seeing as Hinata felt Hanabi's attractiveness was more of a girl next door kind of appeal. Though before she could think about this further, Hanabi came out with her first outfit. Before I get any further, let me state yet again that Hanabi is older than in the anime, though she is still younger than them. She will not be in any sexual situations unless there is yet another time warp, seeing as I don't feel right about writing about a full-grown adult and basically a young adult, older teen, nor should anyone feel right about doing this, but seeing as she is capable of making her own choices, she can flirt with anyone that she wants, and with her sister helping her out, then there could be more situations when said events take place. But don't expect anything other than what I would assume is today's PG/PG-13 . But to be honest, I barely know what stays in that realm and doesn't anymore with what I see some kids watching. I only know that you will not see her get to AM-rated scene while I am writing it. As for her acting out of character, love makes you act strange, just let it work with that. So both Naruto and Hinata watched as Hanabi came out in a strapless dress. Said dress was pink in color and only reached her knees, leaving a good portion of her legs to be seen. What do you think? Hanabi asked, doing a quick spin. It looks good on you. Hinata told her happily. It seems a bit short. Naruto muttered but found his statement ignored by both girls. Sigh, I guess Pervy Sage is right. When a girl has her mind set on it, nothing can change it. Naruto muttered as Hanabi went back into the changing room. Soon after this, Hanabi came out with a few other outfits until she finally stated that she only had one final outfit left. But when she came out, Naruto couldn't help but be shocked by what he saw. For while all the rest of the clothes were a bit more mature than he expected, this one took the cake. Hanabi currently was in a sports bra that hugged her modest chest like a second skin. Due this, her toned stomach was in open view for anyone to look at, just above a pair of leggings that seemed to be a size too small for her. Basically, for Naruto it seemed like an outfit any woman should be in, or else they would have to deal with perverted men being unable to take their eyes off of them. So, what do you think? Hanabi asks, looking at Naruto, who was still visibly stunned. I feel like you shouldn't wear something like that anywhere but maybe in your house. There is no reason to let perverts get a free show. Naruto told her seriously. I have nothing against girls wearing these, but I will be honest. I think that it is giving perverts far too much ease to stare at you like a piece of meat. Wear what you want, just stay safe. It does seem to be a bit tight. You must be growing again. Hinata told Hanabi, making Naruto's eyes travel to a spot that made him blush. I'm gonna leave it to you girls to figure out this outfit then. Naruto told them, making both of them laugh. Don't worry Naruto-kun, we just figured you would need something to wake you up after having to look at clothes for so long. Hinata told Naruto with a smirk. Not funny. Naruto told her with a small pout. But this didn't stop either of the girls from clearly enjoying the moment. Oh, don't be that way Naru-kun. Here, let's go to the final spot of our date. Hinata told him with a gentle shove. Okay, let's go, Naruto told her, already over the annoyance from their teasing. Still, he complied with Hinata as Hanabi went to the counter to pay for the outfits she chose to actually buy, and then they left for what would be the final part of their journey. Outskirts of Konoha. After walking a decent way yet again, but none of them truly minded. But finally they apparently reached the destination, seeing as Hinata stopped in front of a building and waited for the other two to catch up. Naruto quickly looked at the building and visibly was confused. The hot springs. But how is this a part of the date when it's separate baths? Naruto asked. I know it seems weird, but this one happens to have a mixed bathing option for today, so we will be able to relax with each other. Hinata told him happily. But what about Hanabi? Naruto asked. Seeing as while he was more than comfortable seeing Hinata and have seen her many times now, he knew it had to be awkward for a younger sister to be around her sister and her boyfriend, let alone without any clothes on. It will be fine, trust me. Now let's go, Hinata told him, pushing him into the building. Now he still had loads of questions and concerns, but seeing as for once Hinata is being completely dominate, he decided to simply shrug it off and let her enjoy her rare moment of confidence. So, he walked into the men's changing room and honestly felt a bit nervous. I have no idea why Hinata is acting so different today, but I hope she keeps this confidence. It's rather nice to see her not so down, but this still feels like there is something weird going on right now. Naruto thought as he quickly finished getting changed and walked into the hot spring. Much to his surprise, there really wasn't that many people relaxing in the hot spring, but there was no surprise that there was more men than women. After all, when there is a chance to see naked women without being killed, of course the perverts would show up. Actually, now that I think about it, with all of these perverts around, I don't know if I really want my girlfriend here, let alone her sister, Naruto thought with a glare at no one. It's too late now, but I will make sure people know not to mess with them. Naruto thought while unknowingly releasing enough ki to make everyone feel a bit antsy around him. Girls changing room. Okay, are you ready for the last step of the plan? Hinata asked as she got out of her clothes. Yes, I just wish that there wouldn't be as many random people there. I would much rather it just be us. Hanabi admitted with a blush. After all, she had no desire to have a bunch of random people look at her body. I know it sucks, but there would be too many questions from far too many people if we booked it alone. Plus, part of the plan counts on those creeps as well. Hinata told her, turning to her sister. You were the one who wanted a chance to get him to look at you as more than just my little sister. So, come on and do the final push with me. After all, if I could get past my nerves to keep Naruto-kun as my boyfriend, then surely you can as well. Hinata told her with a small smile. Sigh, I know, let's get this over with, Hanabi tells her sister, and after taking a deep breath pushed past the cloth barrier. Just keep your confidence, Hinata told her, following right after her sister. Hot spring bathing area. After Hinata and Hanabi entered the main area of the hot spring, they quickly spotted the blonde sitting a bit away from anyone else and quickly walked over to him. though they both tried desperately to ignore all the looks they swore were boring into their bodies. But finally they reached Naruto, who was desperately trying to not look at both of them currently with a blush on his face. "Ah, how cute. You are still shy to see me. I thought we were past that." Hinata teasingly asked Naruto, making him even more embarrassed. "Shut up. It's just different seeing you in just a towel," Naruto admitted to her as Hinata got into the water right next to him. "How sweet," Hinata tells him with a smile, giving a quick kiss to his cheek. Course while she did this, Naruto was focused on her and missed the fact that Hanabi quickly sat down on his other side of him. In fact, he only noticed when he felt her brush against him. Hanabi-chan, you are a bit too close," Naruto told her, feeling a bit awkward. But of course, much to his surprise, instead of getting away from him, she leaned against his shoulder, making him tense up in surprise. What are you doing?" Naruto asked her, still tense. I am trying to relax just like you," Hanabi told him, simply holding back a laugh at the look she got from Naruto. "I mean, you shouldn't be this close to me," Naruto told her bluntly. "Oh, I'm sorry Naruto-kun, but it's just with this many people here I have to show them that they can't come bother us," Hanabi tells him, partially honest. "But we aren't together, but I guess it's fine if you just want to keep safe," Naruto told her. "No, we aren't, but you could fix that quite easily," Hanabi muttered out loud enough for Naruto to hear. What?" Naruto asked in surprise, only to be ignored. Did she just say what I think she did? There is no way that she actually likes me, right? I mean, that was just teasing, right?" Naruto thought as they all enjoyed the warm water. After this event, the group stayed close together, with only Naruto noticing the jealous stares he was getting. Still, even he managed to enjoy himself until they finally decided to head out of the bath. So, with that in mind, they got out of the water and quickly got changed. Course after this they really didn't do much other than Naruto walking the girls back to the Hyuga compound. "Well, thank you for the day, it was interesting, but definitely better than just being lazy today," Naruto told Hinata with a smile. "Hey, don't worry about it. I know it was strange, but I tried to make a plan that we would enjoy even with Hanabi joining in," Hinata told him, giving him a quick hug. "Now have a good night, Naru-kun. Thank you for coming," Hinata told him before heading into the compound, leaving Naruto only with Hanabi. "Well, thank you for coming as well," Naruto told Hanabi, awkwardly rubbing the back of his head. Course what he didn't expect was for Hanabi to suddenly kiss him on the cheek and start to head back in. Course right when she reached the gate, she shyly looked back at Naruto with a blush on her face. "Thank you for the date," Hanabi told the stunned Naruto before she continued to enter her house. After she left, it took another minute or two for Naruto to get over his surprise and finally think about what just happened. "There is no way that Hanabi likes me like that as well, right?" Naruto asked himself while looking at the large compound. Hokage office. "Come in," Tsunade calls after hearing a knock at her office door. She then looked up from her work to see it was Ayame that entered the room. "Can I help you, Ayame-san?" Tsunade asked the younger of the two ram cooks. "I have thought about the question you gave me long enough now. The answer I decided to follow is Chapter 85 Tsunade's office. I have decided to have Naruto-kun's child," Ayame tells Tsunade, determined but with a blush on her face. "Are you sure? Like I said, I don't want to force you to do this. In fact, I don't want to force any woman to do this if I could help it," Tsunade told her honestly and got a nod in return. I thought about it, and even though I don't know how good of a mother I will be, it would be a lot better for everyone for it to be me rather than some random woman. After all, Naruto-kun would try his hardest to keep the kid happy, and not only could he be used due to this, but he would spend less time with the rest of us if the woman decided to stay away from the group," Ayame explained. For in her mind, a kid could easily be hung over someone's head for things like money far over the amount that should be given to properly help raise the child. But the thing that sent chills down her spine was Naruto ending up in a loveless marriage with the woman and end up being controlled by her. "You know, I would never let someone do that to the brat. As much as I hate to admit it, I care for the blonde bastard," Tsunade told her. "My decision still stands, I'll just have to figure things out as I go," Ayame tells her firmly. "Okay, as long as you are sure. Now, just to let you know, you will receive some help from the village, seeing as I am forcing you to do this for the sake of the village. It's the least I can do to after you doing me this huge favor." Tsunade told her honestly. For while if she was forced to do so she would find the best person, but it would still leave a sour taste in her mouth to force Naruto into doing something like that. For she could already tell he is a man that wants nothing to do with a loveless relationship or a one-time thing, but she imagined there could be exceptions. After all, he still was a male. Sigh, well, I guess I better drop this bombshell on the brat and get the ball rolling, last chance to back out. Tsunade told Ayame seriously, only to see a determined look on the girl's face. Always nice to see a woman determined. Anbu, fetch me Naruto. Tsunade orders and the two women calmly wait in the office. As nervous as I am about this whole idea, a part of me can't wait to see Naruto's face. When this bombshell is dropped on him, Ayame thought mentally, laughing at the stupid look Naruto was surely about to show. Plus a few minutes later. It didn't take too long before Tsunade's door was opened widely, allowing Naruto to walk in unabated. You asked for me, Ba-chan? Naruto asked with a wide smile, ignoring the tick mark that she gained. Tisk, yes I did, brat. You see, with the way things have been going on, I have to think about the village, seeing as you forced me to be the Kage. Anyways, because of this Hey, I knew that you would have a super cool mission for me. I am itching to go, don't worry about that. What's the mission? Naruto asked happily, interrupting Tsunade. Ayame, go take this asshole and get busy before I kill him. Tsunade told Ayame, holding herself back from hitting said blonde into orbit. Course, this sudden statement made both Naruto and Ayame blush up a storm. Ba-chan, they may be my girlfriends, but I am not doing anything like that with them unless they want to. Naruto tells her, annoyed. Actually I already agreed with her on this. Ayame told Naruto, making him stare at her in confusion while Ayame's face looked like it was about to explode with all the steam coming off of her. Sigh, brat, I won't go into too much detail, but Tsuyoi was on the right track about shit about to get real in the world. So, for the sake of keeping your bloodline in Konoha and having you fight with us, we basically have to copy what they did. Tsunade explained after her rage cooled off a bit. Wait, why you mean? Naruto started with a heavy blush, only to be interrupted by Tsunade. Yup, your next mission is to impregnate this lovely young woman here. Tsunade told him with a smirk as Naruto's face quickly went from a heavy blush to being completely shocked, and a blushing mess. She then walked around her desk and put an arm around his shoulder. Now just remember that if you don't treat her right, your favorite chef will probably cut you off, and you don't even want to know what I will do to you. Tsunade told him with a fake smile on her face, then quickly released some ki at the blonde. So don't you even think about treating her bad or forgetting about her after this child got it. She added. For while she doubted it would happen, she wanted to make sure Naruto wasn't in for just the fun dates and sex. He needed to be a good father, and if he wasn't gonna be one, then she would have to beat the idea into his brain. And no need to worry, Tsunade-sama, I will do everything I can to help. Naruto tells her with a salute. Perfect, Suan told him as she let go of him. She then pushed him over to Ayame. Now leave me alone and spend some quality time with your girlfriend. She told him, amused that both of the young adults were blushing so much. Alright, Naruto muttered, then looked at Ayame, though couldn't bring himself to look at her completely at the moment. Let's get going, Naruto told her. Alright, Ayame agrees with Naruto and followed him out of the office. The idea of having a kid is just so new to me, I haven't blushed this bad since I first learned about sex. Ayame thinks as she follows Naruto out of the building. So, do you want to go on a date? Naruto asked a bit awkwardly. We have to wait a little while before the time is right for this, Naruto-kun. Ayame tells him, feeling just as awkward. We don't need to do that, I just figure I haven't been with you in a while. Oh. Ayame muttered, feeling a bit stupid. Well, yeah, date sounds good. She then told him with a small smile. Gee, great. Let's go. Naruto told her as they walked out into Konoha, clearly still feeling a bit stunned by the information that was just dropped. Meanwhile, what, you didn't actually tell him? Hinata asked her sister, who blushed. I just couldn't, I at least kissed his cheek. She told her sister honestly. That is a start, but the whole purpose of that date was so that he would see you as the beautiful woman you were, and you were supposed to strike when the iron was hot. Hell, with the way he was acting towards the end of it, I probably could have had a fun night with both of you. Hinata explained. What? That was a part of your plan? Hanabi asked with a blush. After all, she came to the realization that she liked the blonde only a little while ago. Going that far seemed to be insane to her. Why, of course it was. My Naruto-kun knocked up a girl in the village we went to. I need to make sure he never forgets what he has here. And what better way to do that than to have two sisters ready for him? Hinata tells her with a smile. Wasn't that whole trip meant to be to forge bonds between our villages, and the marriage was part of that? Hanabi asked. Well, yes, but that doesn't change the fact that it happened. Hinata told her, still just as determined. I love my sister and I am happy that she is willing to help me out, but even I have to think that she is a bit crazy at times. I hope that she calms down a bit after figuring out that no one is planning to take Naruto away from her, or when she gets all of the weird idea done with. Hanabi thought. For she was well aware that Hinata, like the rest of her clan, were a bit on the strange side when it came to things about their lovers. But Hinata's strangeness was currently bordering on unhealthy obsession. It's like some writer is using a sex-crazed girlfriend idea as a bit of comic relief to a story or something. But she was thankful that Naruto was already Hinata's lover. If he was not, then her sister's actions would be a lot more worrisome. Still, she couldn't help but gain a blush on her face as her mind began to wander. Well, I suppose having sister teach me some things wouldn't be so bad, Hanabi thinks, picturing a few scenes in her head that made her almost start giggling perversely. Hokage Tower. After the younger adults left, Tsunade quickly gained a serious expression and returned to her desk. Bring me Kakashi and Jiraiya to me, threatened their porn book and research book to make sure they get here ASAP. Tsunade told the Anbu, who nodded and disappeared. She then only had to wait about 15 minutes for the Anbu to return and place both of said items on her desk. After which it took only about a minute longer for both requested people to enter the office. Welcome, you two. I am so glad that you listened to your summons for once. Tsunade told them with a fake smile. Yay, we did. Now give me my notes already. My next book is almost done. Jiraiya tells her, keeping his focus completely on his notebook. Meanwhile, Kakashi said nothing but was keeping an eye on his book. Oh, don't worry, you two will get your trash back after I finish. Tsunade told them. For while she would like to just destroy both of them, she knew that it would make the two men in front of her lose any attention they had for the conversation at hand. Now, as I am sure both of you know, Orochimaru's creatures and ninja have been creating havoc all over the elemental nations. Well, the other Kages have finally decided that this problem is bigger than any one village's issue, so a Kage council has been decided upon in exactly 1 week time. Tsunade explains. Sigh, I figured that would be the case. Orochimaru, what kind of foolish plan are you doing this time? Even you can't handle a united ninja force like this. Jiraiya mutters, remembering his old teammate. So I guess the reason that you called us for is to come with you, right? That's correct. Having both of you with me may leave the village at a bit weakened, but I trust that the rest of the village will be able to handle anything that may come our way, not to mention most of the villages will likely be the same. Tsunade explained to them. For this I am taking it at Kakashi being higher rank and Jiraiya obviously is S rank, not gonna bother to look it up, so Kakashi is one of the staples of strength the village has, with Guy being up there as well. Now of course there are many others that are strong, but they are the show's figurehead of strongest in the village, seeing as they were so close to the main. So in this story they will be the same in this case. That does make sense, and the village has enough contingencies to help protect it even when we are gone. I just hope that they aren't needed, but Orochimaru has a sick pleasure of attacking us when we least expect it. Jiraiya told them, in one of the few cases when he is serious while not on a mission. That is true, but it is a risk we have to take. Anyways, be ready in 1 week to travel at dawn. Oh, and don't even think about being late. Tsunade told both of them with a glare that sent shivers down both their spines. All right, both of them muttered, already imagining what Tsunade's wrath might end up being. Good, she told them with a smile. Now go get Shukaku for me. I am sure he is just gonna love having to manage this place yet again. Tsunade told them, feeling a bit amused, making the lazy genius do actual work. That man truly is going to have nightmares of you working him to the bone. Jiraiya mutters but still leaves to do as she wished. Konoha restaurant. After getting over a good portion of the awkward feelings that Naruto and Ayame had were mostly pushed to the side as the couple walked through Konoha. And eventually they found themselves in one of the many restaurants that was established in their city. Though at the moment they were less focused on what the food was and even what the restaurant was called, but rather were trying to find a way to break the ice after everything that they just went through. Oh, I wish I told Tsunade-sama a few days later so that I didn't have to deal with this heavy atmosphere. We could have just gotten over it in a moment and then move on with our lives. I mean, it's not even that big of a deal. I wanted to have kids eventually, so it's not like this isn't something I wanted, and we both aren't even virgins. But why does this feel like my first time all over again? At least the man I am with this time is a lot better. Ayame thinks, but still found herself unable to really strike up a conversation that didn't die out rather quickly. Come on Naruto, you can make this date work, but ga. I just can't think of anything but what we just were in a meeting about. But I mean, how can you just go back to a normal conversation after that? I mean, even though I just had to do this, it still doesn't make this any easier, but I guess at least I would be able to help Ayame, but would I even be a good father? No, I can't think about that right now. I have to focus on trying to make Ayame as comfortable as I can, even though she got wrapped up into the ninja world's mess, but how? Naruto thinks with a mental frown, seeing as he couldn't find it in himself to be talkative right now. So, both of them sat quietly while eating their meals. Hey Naruto, fancy meeting you here. Choji called out happily as he walked into the restaurant, but quickly noticed Ayame. Oh, sorry, didn't know you were busy. He added. No. Naruto called out before coughing to regain his composure. I mean, we don't mind you joining us. Naruto told him. I would, but I'm accepting the team to meet me here in a bit. Choji tells them. Welp, we can always just move to another table. Naruto told him, only to see the large man shrug his shoulders. Do what you want. Something both of them gladly did, if only to avoid the awkward silence they were having until they had time to cool their heads a bit. So, how's it been going with you guys? Naruto asked happily after Choji placed an order in. Pretty good so far. I mean, we don't get a lot of combat missions anymore, seeing as my teammates' skillsets are more based on more covert tasks. Course that doesn't bother me much. I still don't want to have to hurt more people than necessary. Choji tells them with a small blush on his face. After all, he always was more of a softie compared to the rest of the class. Then it works out for ya, bud. I mean, you can still do your job and get to follow your wishes as well. Besides, those two really do need some protection and a heavy hitter on their team. I mean, otherwise neither of them have much in the lines of jutsu or techniques for when shit gets real. Naruto told him, giving Choji a pat on the back. I guess you were right, so anyways, why were you so happy to have company? It looked like you were on a date. Well, let's just say that we got some surprising information in a meeting and we just need something to take our minds off it. Naruto told him nervously. Something that confused Choji, but he just shrugged it off. At this time, Ino and Shikamaru walked into the restaurant and Choji quickly waved them over to the table. So we have both troublesome blondes to deal with this time, huh? Shikamaru muttered and got a light smack from Ino. And what is that supposed to mean? Ino asked, only to be mostly ignored. But she eventually just let it go and sat down on the other side of Naruto. Anyways, what are the chances that we'd find you here? She added happily, hugging onto Naruto. Hey, I guess you were pretty lucky, Ino-chan. Naruto told her with a small smirk. It's good to see you even if we just separated. Naruto told her honestly. After all, each of his girlfriends have wormed their way into his heart more than even he thought was possible. Hey, you know it. Now you better take me on a date pretty soon and maybe you will be too. Ino told Naruto with a sultry smirk. Tisk, troublesome flirting blondes. Shikamaru mutters. Still, after this, Naruto and Ayame found themselves wrapped up in the various conversations the other team had until they finally finished their food. Plus about an hour later plus. You truly are a lucky guy, Naruto-kun. Ayame told Naruto with a smirk, only to get a confused look from the blonde. Right when we needed something to help us out of our funk, you managed to always have just that occasion happen. I mean, it doesn't feel nearly as strange to talk now that we got away from it for a while. She told him with a smile. Huh, yeah, you know you were right. Naruto told her after pondering it for a few moments. I mean, it's still something I feel weird about, but at least my head feels clearer. Yay, but don't worry, we will figure it out, and no matter what, I chose this, you didn't force me. Ayame told Naruto, figuring that he would still feel sorry about making her do something. Thanks, Ayame-chan. I love you, Naruto told her, giving her a quick kiss. Love you too, Ayame told him with a happy smile. Hey, he is such a softie no matter what. I don't know what I am worrying about. I already always wanted to be a mother at some point anyways. And I don't have to worry about having enough finance and help to take care of one like Lady Tsunade told me. This might actually be a good thing. Ayame thought happily, seeing as she always was worried about if she would be able to copy her father's strength in taking care of a child while still running a small restaurant. Props to all single mothers, fathers out there. It is amazing what some people can do, and I can't imagine the strength, willpower that takes. With what felt like a weight lifted off their shoulders, the couple happily continued to walk through the village. But this time when they ended, they found themselves in front of a familiar ramen bar. I thought we just ate, Ayame-chan. Naruto asked her, confused, making her giggle. Yes we did. But unlike you who doesn't have a mission to go to yet, I need to make up for missing several days of work. Ayame told him, poking his shoulder gently. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. Naruto told her, actually forgetting that she is the only one of his girlfriends that had a normal job. Of course you did. You don't need to worry about things like this. But don't worry, I will still be able to spend plenty of time with my Naru-kun. Ayame told him teasingly while pinching his cheek. Tisk, you better. Naruto told her, faking irritation at her teasing, making her laugh a bit more. Oh, don't worry, I won't ever forget, but in 3 days you better make it worth my while to do so. Ayame told him, then went into the ramen stand, leaving a confused blonde standing there. Only a few seconds later though, the thoughts aligned and Naruto quickly began to blush. Ero Tenshi-chan, Naruto called out before leaving the area. Something that made Ayame laugh even more as she heard the reaction. He will always be far too easy to tease. Ayame muttered to herself. Sound village equals. Kabuto-sama, our spies have reports that the other villages are having gathering in the Land of Iron to discuss the Daku. A man reports while handing Kabuto a scroll. Currently said man was sitting at a desk going over the small amount of paperwork that the village needed done in order to function as normally as it has been. Oh, so they finally chose to come together. Here I thought that they would have waited until at least 20% of the population have been transformed. I will let Orochimaru-sama know as soon as he is finished. Kabuto told the man after quickly going over the scroll and setting it down. But sir, this is something serious. The man told Kabuto, not expecting it to be shrugged off so quickly. He then watched as Kabuto sighed and looked at him like he is a fool. We set everyone free to basically do as they wish, and you didn't expect more than one village to get upset over it. But all of them will eventually fall. It matters not to us whether they come all at once or not. We have all the cards in our hand right now. They only know basic tidbits of what's going on while we are well versed in the strengths and weakness of all of them. This is why you should leave the strategizing to those that can actually think. Kabuto tells the man, who went red with rage. How dare you? The man started to yell, only for Kabuto to simply look at him with disinterest. How dare I lead the village I have been given control over the way I want? Know your place, Kabuto told him, making the man practically red in the face with rage. Fuck you, you damn book nerd of A, the man began to yell, only to stop when he felt some pain in his throat. He then placed a hand on his neck and had his eye widen when he saw there was blood on his hand. Thinking quickly, he put pressure on the front of his neck, only to still find his life fading quickly as the world went cold. A few seconds later there was a thud on the floor as the man died, showing the scalpel that now was stuck in the wall behind him. The same scalpel that pierced completely through his neck, completely cutting all that was in its way. Still, Kabuto paid this no mind and finished the document he was on before walking out of the room. He then found a random ninja. Hey, you get the clean-up crew too. My office. Oh, and congratulations, you now get to live it up in the information facility as long as you bring the reports from our village's spies to my desk on a regular basis. Kabuto told the ninja before walking back into his room. These fools just always have to overstep their bounds. They don't realize that they are just pawns on a bigger picture. Still, I have to keep this place going just long enough for our true goals to be reached. Though hopefully in the upcoming wars these villages, most of them, can be wiped out. After all, we only will need a small population for keeping up the food stocks, helping with menial tasks, helping with research tasks, and finally for test subjects. The rest of these fools I would be happy to see leave as long as they take a few of the problems that are trying to hinder us with them. Kabuto thought as he sat in his chair. After all, his goal was to create his very own utopia. Course what he considered a utopia would most likely be nothing like anyone else's except for maybe Orochimaru himself, but in Kabuto's mind he would be the one ruling it all. He would just have to steal enough from his mentor to be able to make that the final result after the war simmers to an end. Chapter 86. Plus dinner in Konoha plus. Ino, Hinata, Haku, and Ayame all were sitting around a table with light meals in front of them. For even though they truly didn't have to, all the girls wanted to keep on good terms with each other if they weren't able to be friends. So, part of that involved them talking it out without Naruto around to see what they are and aren't okay with and what is going on overall. Basically, it could be what one would call a girl's day out. So, what did you call us out for today, Ayame? Couldn't get enough of us? Ino asked with a smirk. I wish, but unfortunately, I have to discuss something kind of important today. Ayame tells her blandly. What seems to be the problem, Ayame-san? Haku asks calmly while sipping her drink. I will never understand how you can remain so refined and proper no matter what. Even at training you act like you don't have a worry at all. Ino grumbles, feeling a bit jealous of her ability to do so. Like I told you before, when you are a wandering ninja, if you show your hand you don't last long. So, I learned the skill fast. But you should work on it if you can't. In any case, you should work on it if you aren't good at hiding stuff. In our profession it could mean life or death. Haku tells her simply. Yeah, but it is just so hard to do. Ino told her with a frown. Anyways, what is it you wanted to talk about? Hinata asks curiously. Well, you know the whole reason we had to go to Shizuka for. Ayame asked, getting nods from the rest of the girls. Well, Tsunade came to me and told about exactly why their village wanted the child to be formed, and told me that Konoha mostly would have to do the same soon enough. She explained, making Ino slam her hands down. Oh no, she ain't taking our Ayame-chan from us and putting her with some random guy. I won't allow that to happen. Ino growled out in annoyance. Actually, you are only half right. You see, it isn't some random guy, it's Naruto. Ayame tells them with a blush. Dang, our blonde is really ramping up production. I guess we better be worried. Ino joke as the rest of them look on. I guess I should prepare myself. Haku mutters, making the rest of the girls look at her. I get Hinata being forward by now, but I didn't expect it to come from you. Ino tells her, surprised. Well, if he truly is trying to impregnate us, then as his servant I have to expect needing to tend to his desires. Haku tells them with a neutral tone. Quote ellipsis dot. You do realize that you aren't truly his slave, why you even feel the need to pretend to be so. I will never understand. Ayame tells her, concerned with her friend's mental health. Sigh. Don't worry, Ayame. Haku just enjoys being submissive, for some reason. Ino tells her, after all she was able to glance at mental health check results among other things. Okay, well anyways, I just wanted to let you know about this decision before I caused any issues with our group. Ayame told them, choosing to leave the strange conversation alone. She also made sure to glance over and check how Hinata was handling the news. After all, she reacted so negatively the first time. So before people dislike this too much, even though I didn't mean for it to be anything too drastic. Haku is not mental damaged by her time as a missing ninja, at least not in this way. She simply chose to be submissive and found herself rather liking the master-servant relationship she created for Naruto when she first came in. Yes, she was treated as nothing but a tool kind of when they found her, so when they first brought her in she would most likely keep that mentality. But hopefully the life in Konoha would break down that mentality and allow her to realize that she is a capable ninja person all by herself. You could call her master-servant relationship more as her fetish, for lack of better words, at the moment. She enjoys being submissive and the fact that it bugs Naruto in some cases. Meanwhile, Naruto does not force her to have this mentality, but rather would fully support her changing her ways if she decided to do so. I would also like to note that mental health problems, even those created by situations, are no joke. People with those issues should seek the help they need, deserve, and should not be treated as, that's just how they are. Also all the women in my story, I would like to say I try to write the women in this story with independence, their own personalities and wishes and strengths being shown. I merely use the perverseness Hinata has in this story as comedic relief, just as Jiraiya was used in various times. Course Hinata was calmly eating her food and looked back at her in confusion. What? Hinata asked. Well, I sort of thought you would be at least a bit upset about this. Ayame admitted. Oh well, while I am still a bit upset about having firsts being taken from me, you aren't the one doing it. If I couldn't handle Naruto being with other girls and having other kids, then I wouldn't have put myself in this predicament in the first place. I just want to get the firsts that should belong to me, seeing as I was the first. Hinata told her with a small smile. Well, I am glad that wasn't as horrible as I thought it would be. Ayame mutters in relief. Hey, you gotta stop worrying so much about what we think, girl. Just because you aren't a ninja doesn't mean you have any less of a standing in our weird relationship jumble. Ino tells Ayame with a warm smile as she wrapped an arm around the ramen chef. Thank you, Ino-san, Ayame told her with a small happy smile. Plus meanwhile, Yamanaka compound tilde. While the girls were enjoying their group meeting, Naruto was in the middle of a meeting with Ino's father. So that is the plan. Will you help me? Inoichi asked Naruto. For while he disliked Naruto a bit due to him actually dating his daughter this time, he actually needed help. Are you sure you want to do this? I mean, you especially know just how dangerous it can be. Naruto told him, completely serious. Yes, there is a risk, but she has reached a point where she can handle it. Plus, with both of us present, the risk is dramatically lower. Okay, but if things go south, I am pulling the plug immediately. That's fine, I don't want things to go too bad either. But this is the only way she will reach the next level. And with that being said, Naruto left the room and went on his way. Plus later on that day, after finishing her meeting with the other girls, Ino spent some time wandering through Konoha before finally going back home. What she didn't expect was for the gate guards to immediately tell her that her father wanted to speak with her. I wonder what Dad wants. He doesn't usually ask for me to see him during the day. I mean, we still see each other basically every night, seeing as I haven't bothered to move out yet. Come to think of it, I probably should. I mean, I make enough money now. But it's still nice not having to worry about cooking a lot, Ino thought, letting her thoughts wander as she walked to her father's office. As soon as she reached said room, she happily opened the door and saw her father working through some paperwork. Hey Dad, you wanted to see me? Ino asked, sitting in one of the chairs without a care. Yes. You see, you have been working hard on your training for quite a while now and truly are showing to be quite the skilled mind walker. Hey, thanks. I am glad I can keep the family proud. Ino tells him with a smile. After all, ever since she got out of her fangirl phase, she has been working hard to use what she had available to her to become a competent kunoichi. Not to mention, just like her father, she took shifts in the T&I buildings on occasion. Yes, and you definitely are, Inoichi tells her with a proud smile, but quickly got serious again. But I think it is time for you to reach what could be called the next level. He explains and quickly see his daughter light up with excitement. You mean it? Wait, what do you mean? Ino asks, first in excitement then in confusion. What I mean is that you are more than competent in normal minds and the dangers they could bring. But I think with your skill you will be able to push our clan's abilities to a level that very few can manage and handle more challenging situations. Inoichi explains. More challenging? How does it get more challenging? I have been gotten information out of even people that knew how to guard their minds just fine. Ino asked, confused. Yes, you have, but what you don't understand is that there are minds that are much worse than that. They are rare, but they do exist. You see, there are several situations where people can develop their mind either purposely or accidentally to be something that would challenge even the most skilled mind walker. Those people, like the truly wicked or demented, those that enlighten themselves, those that truly become strong, and those that have things sealed inside of them. Now these are the only things that cause it, but they are examples. Inoichi explains. Okay, I get, those that are enlightened, seeing as they supposedly become one with themselves, so they must have some sort of a mental change, but what about the rest of them? I mean, I have been in the minds of murders and such before. Yes, you have, but I mean the truly wicked people. Thankfully these people are few and far beyond, but if one becomes something that seems too demented even for a ninja's standards. For these minds, they usually are so twisted that they have more danger than the regular maniac. As for enlightenment, you are correct. Those people tend to be able to form a mental form of themselves and as such could combat you in their mind. As for strength being a factor, well, let's just say it doesn't happen much at all. For if one was to be able to be what is considered S rank, they simply have more power and will power than average ninjas, most the time. Finally, for those that have things that are sealed in them, well, you saw what that can be like. He explains, reminding her of her past mistakes. Course when he saw her mood drop, he quickly continued to the point. But enough about the explaining stuff like this for now. I will go into detail later on with you. All you need to know right now is that you have to meet me in the hospital lobby tomorrow morning to start your training. Inoichi told her, then noticed she still seemed down and gently handed her over a bit of money. Now how about you go out and have some fun? I think your mother has been asking to go shopping with someone for a while. He told her and quickly watched her face light up at the idea. Oh really? Well, I will see you tomorrow, Pops. She says, now much happier, and left to find her mother for a shopping spree with her new money in hand. Sigh, I really am weak when it comes to my girls. But I can't help it. Her and her mother know exactly how to get what they want from me somehow. Inoichi thinks knowing his wife and daughter had him wrapped around their fingers, but he couldn't find himself caring, seeing as he truly loved both of them. Just in different ways. Tilda hospital next day. Tilda. Right on time. Ino was happily waiting in the main entrance of the hospital for her practical training. Now she should have had some preliminary conversations with her dad, but due to her excitement she forced the information out of her last night so they could get right into the practical part of the training. So, when she saw her dad finally appear in the entrance, though instead of coming from the actual door, he appeared coming down his stairs. Yes, finally. Let's get this started, Ino tells him with a smile on her face. Now calm down. While I know it is exciting to better yourself, you also have to remember that this does have some danger involved in it, even if I found a way to minimize it. Her father told her, clearly not actually upset with her. Okay, well, let's go then. Ino orders, impatient. After all, becoming one of the few capable of something sounded amazing to her. Still, instead of talking more, she had to follow after her father, who started to walk back up the stairs until they finally were in a room that only contained a few chairs. What is this place? Ino asked, confused. Well, normally this room is revamped for use in something else for the hospital, but it is built to be a room we can do more risky mental evaluations, scans. Mainly seeing as there is medical staff on hand only a few meters away. But anyways, you can come in now. Inoichi tells her first, then calls out to no one. Course after he said this, a familiar face walked into the room from the other side. Naruto, you are helping today? Ino asks, confused, looking at him to her dad. Well, as you know, Naruto's special problem leads to him having quite the dangerous mind. Not to mention, through the years of mental health checks, he has a fairly good idea how to both protect his mind and protect his mind walker. Now this doesn't remove the danger but lowers it significantly while keeping you challenged. Inoichi explains as Naruto calmly sits in a chair. With Naruto's trauma, anyone would wonder why they wouldn't check to see if he was sane, if it was just to make sure he didn't go after them. Though through these he has felt the jutsu enough to be able to figure out how to resist them. For as a child, anything can be made into a game. Even trying to keep those that want to peek out of your head. But he always protected them from the Kyuubi's chakra. Now your job here is to break through into Naruto's memories. Now you do not need to actually get information. Only the fact that you broke through is what matters. Now of course we will start off slowly and gradually get harder and harder. Now, any questions? Yeah. First, why did Naruto need checkups anyways? He has always been a happy guy that is loyal to a T. Second, isn't it a bit rude to enter someone's mind that doesn't hold any threat to the village? Hey, well, all I will say about the first part is that the protocols were set up more for precaution rather than worry about him defecting. Second, as for the information, Naruto has already given you permission to hear whatever may come through during this, but please be respectful and keep the information you gain from this to yourself. Her father tells her seriously. Sure, but are you sure, Naruto-kun? Ino asks, a bit surprised. After all, everyone has their own personal secrets, some they wouldn't even want those closest to them to know. Hey, it's no problem, Ino-chan, just focus on your training, Naruto tells her happily. And with that being said, Ino sits in front of Naruto and begins to train. Just as her father stated, they started off rather easy and gradually made it more difficult for her to enter his mind. Course, even without meaning to do so, she always got to hear or see a tidbit of memory before leaving her boyfriend's mind. Why won't any of the kids play with me? A young Naruto thinks while sitting on a swing. You monster. The orphan master calls out as she chases Naruto out. Feel free to enjoy your ramen, Naruto-kun, a familiar chef states with a smile. A young Hinata being bullied before stepping in front of her. A large monster hidden in the shadow except for its eyes and teeth. A happy Hinata as she ate cinnamon buns on Naruto's lap. A random test paper being filled out. And many other things Ino saw, heard as she continued her training. It seemed that there was no rhyme or reason to what she saw, and it was a toss-up whether the scene would be nice, neutral, or bad. No matter what, after slowly learning said tidbits, Ino was feeling worse and worse for Naruto's past, even though she caused some parts of it while she had no clue. Still, she tried her best to push these thoughts to the side for now and just focused on her training, though she was sure she would need some time and maybe even help going through her own thoughts after all of these memories. But eventually she reached a stage where she couldn't actually manage to break through to Naruto's memory bank. Something her father nodded to after prodding at the resistance himself. Good. Very good for your first time. Don't worry, we will get you even more used to it and further on our next session. Inoichi tells her with a nod while Ino's face dropped a little bit. There is more than one session of this. Ino asks, not truly looking forward to the dark thoughts in her boyfriend's brain. Well, of course. Before you can reach your rank, you need to actually have mastered your mental attacks to a point where you can handle a wall at least 50% stronger than that one. But that is for another time. Now we must do the worst part of your training. Inoichi muttered with a frown. What could be worse than this? Ino mutters under her breath before refocusing on her father. Okay, please lower your barriers, Naruto. And as for you, daughter, we will meet inside of Naruto's head. Inoichi states, moving a chair over and quickly performs his jutsu. Though after seeing this, it took Ino a full minute before she finally refocused and followed her father into Naruto's head. When she woke up though, Ino found herself in front of a large cage again, which brought back the fear she felt when she first entered his head. Calm down, the beast is stuck on the other side of the cage. While it still poses danger to us with Naruto around, we are relatively safe. Inoichi told her, making her look over and see both males beside her. Okay, but how are you so calm, Dad? I mean, that is a demon. Ino asked, for while she knew that both of the two with her were trying to keep their group as safe as possible, she still couldn't help but fear what she knew was hidden in the darkness that lied behind the bars. Trust me, I am still nervous about being in Naruto's mind, but seeing as I have been doing this for a while now, I have been able to somewhat desensitize myself from the danger. Inoichi tells her with a shrug. Plus, Naruto has always been helpful in blocking anything the fox tries, so just trust him and in some ways me to keep you safe. He adds, seeing as even as a kid Naruto would shield the older Mind Walker from many waves of demonic energy and various other attempts at him. Yeah, don't worry about the fluffy bastard, you will be safe. I am going to make sure of that. Naruto told her, determined. Thanks, Naru-kun, Ino tells him with a small smile as a lot of her stress disappeared. Though not all, seeing as they were standing in front of a beast that wants nothing more but to tear them to shreds. Cough. Anyways, let's get started. So Ino, we worked on having you pierce defenses, but now we will be starting on your defensive techniques. Inoichi starts to explain, making her gulp in fear. Now, like I said, this is something that you likely won't encounter that often, if at all, but there are still some times when we need information or to wrestle control from a dangerous mind. But don't worry, just like with your offensive training, we will be starting off small and going from there. Inoichi tells her, then looks to Naruto, who nods his head, and suddenly in a sewer path that was behind them a bunch of various timed crushing walls appeared with a white orb behind them. Just as before, your goal is to get to the memories that you need and get out. Now, as you know, this is just training and we are making sure you stay mostly safe, but that does not mean that this is a joke. In real life this would be a life and death situation. If you die in the mental world, you truly don't die, per se, in real life, but you will be nothing more than a husk, seeing as your mind died. So, I guess you could consider what we are right now to be our souls or something. Inoichi tells her, watching his daughter go from surprise to horror to finally determination. Good. Now let's get started, he told her, and Ino ran through the course that was set up for her. Plus several hours later plus. Ino was training throughout the day with the group only taking breaks for said girl to rest and recover some chakra. For while the Yamanaka mind walking technique was not very chakra sucking, it still did take some, leaving the girl who had the least reserves of the group needing to rest lest she suffer from chakra exhaustion. Still, she made a lot of progress in her training until her father decided that they did enough for one day as they all stood in Naruto's mind world again. Okay Ino, you have done well so far, but we will close after this last lesson. Now don't think that just because you got decent at the offensive training that it is done in one day either. We will be revisiting and refining your ability even further with that as well. What? But you said I got to be good at it already. Ino angrily told him, making the man nod. That I did, but don't you think if it could be done in one day many of our clan would be able to reach the next level? We cannot accept good at this point, we have to push you past your limits until you can get through next to any mind defense. Remember, this training isn't for normal minds but for you to have the ability to withstand special minds where you will have to expect anything and everything to try and stop you from completing your mission. Inoichi told her, then quickly looked away to not see his daughter's disappointed look. Anyways, the last thing we have for today is something that I truly don't want to do, but in order for you to be safe it has to be done, he told her, getting back to being serious. In these dangerous minds you will get injured. Now thankfully most mental damage heals relatively quickly with rest, but that is only if you can manage to get yourself out. Working under pain to complete your goal in the mental world is a whole different monster than physical injuries. You have to basically start from square one with your pain resistance. Inoichi told her, feeling bad to see the fear in her eyes. Sigh. Yes, as you have guessed, the final task we have for each of these training sessions is to get your resistance up. But I promise the first time is the worst. It will be easier next time. Inoichi told her. I have to do this multiple times too. Ino asks, clearly a bit afraid. I want you to be as strong and proud as you can be, Ino-chan. But don't worry, no one, not even me and your father, will look down on you for not wanting to go any further. I am sure your clan will respect you enough for getting through all the training, but pain resistance, Naruto told her, trying to comfort her while giving her a choice. For while he wanted her to be as strong Kunoichi, he felt that she has already made herself be just that, not to mention the path Inoichi wanted to take wasn't something he truly wanted to do. With both men finishing what they wanted to say, they simply stood there quietly as the young woman made up her own choice. Neither wished to force her, seeing as in the end it was her life that she was deciding. They had no right wish to force her to do something she didn't want to do with it. No, I will do it. I want to be someone that you can proudly call the daughter of the Yamanaka's clan head. Ino told them, determined. Very well, Inoichi told her before looking at Naruto, who steeled his emotions and nodded his head. Now we will start slowly. Naruto, if you would please. Inoichi told him, who quickly created an orb in his hand that had a faint purple color to it. You are making Naruto do this? Ino asked, surprised only to see her father nod his head with a frown. I don't like him doing this to you much either, but we are very limited on people capable of actually forming mental attacks. You see, while we do specialize in entering minds and collecting information, that does not mean that we are truly attacking the mind. Our offensive attack is truly just trying to force our soul through the willpower a person has. Hence why people don't truly feel any pain when we break through their mental wall. But in this case, Naruto will be hitting you with something that will cause real damage to your mental image. Okay, I get that we aren't truly doing attacks on people's minds, but why can Naruto? Ino asks, making her father sigh. As I told you, Naruto is one of the very few people that have gained the recognition of having a dangerous mind. It goes without saying that the traps that he lays in his mind can and will hurt your mental image, so it goes without saying that he will in turn be able to do it with his own mental image as well. But thankfully it is truly rare for someone to have their mental image being able to move and attack even among those with dangerous minds. Naruto just happened to be the best of the options we have in the village. For Tsunade-sama has too much on her plate and too much private information, and I don't even want to know if Jiraiya has control over his mental image. Even if he did, you would be never allowed anywhere near that man in the mess he calls a mind. Now prepare yourself, Inoichi told her. Ino then shook off her confusion and after a minute or two refocused herself and nodded to the males with her. And with her being ready, Naruto walks over to her and holds the orb of energy to her and allows it to touch her arm, where it was quickly absorbed. Course anything else that Ino would have noticed from the orb was replaced instead by the large amount of pain that she felt launching through her body. Pain that was so intense that she could help but let out a yell of pain even though she tried her best to keep it contained. As I told you, the first time is the worst. Right now, your mental body has never felt pain, and due to it being more of an image rather than an actual body, the pain spreads through the entire body. Eventually, as you become able to work under this pain, you will mentally picture it only being pain in a certain part of your body. At that point you will be able to see the damage shown there. Inoichi tells her while tense, seeing as he was holding himself back from comforting his little girl. They then were quiet as Ino eventually felt the pain leave her, letting herself refocus on the world around her. That was intense. Ino told them, truly not having expected so much pain. Yes. Now with this portion of the training you will be the one telling us how far to go. I will only stop you if I feel you will permanently injure your mental body in some way. Feel free to make this part of the training go as long or quick as you feel you are capable of doing. Inoichi told her. After hearing this, Ino took a few deep breaths before looking over at Naruto. Okay, hit me again. She told Naruto. Are you sure? Naruto asked, clearly sad to be doing this but wanted to help his girlfriend out no matter what he felt. So, when he got a nod from the girl, he created another orb that was the same size and strength and touched her other arm with it. This continued a few times with Ino gaining a small amount of resistance but still was unable to focus enough to have the pain only be in one part of her body. But she decided at that point to quit for the day, and the three of them quickly found themselves out in the real world again. You did very good, Ino-chan, you must be well on your way to the next level. Naruto told her with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. After all, the last bit of training was far from pleasant for him either. Yeah, I guess. Ino muttered, not feeling like she made much progress with her resistance, but then had her thoughts go to other topics. Oh, there is one thing that I truly don't understand. Ino told the two males she was with after a little bit of thinking. What's up? Naruto asked. Well, when I first entered your mind all those years ago, you took a large wave of energy but didn't make a peep or even look like it bothered you. But yet father said that the demon's chakra is very dangerous to humans, so how is that possible? Ino asks. Well, I guess I just went through this training when I was a baby and couldn't really remember it. Now I sort of have a resistance to the bastard's chakra where it will only affect me if I draw out too much. Naruto told her with a shrug. Sigh, that is partially correct. Inoichi told both of them. The reason the Kyuubi and the other tailed beasts are put into children is that their chakra coils are still developing. So, when the beast's chakra is added, the kids' coils get used to its presence to a point, seeing as there always is some demonic chakra flowing through their body. But that chakra is still very dangerous to humans. So, if Naruto draws out the power, then it will start doing damage to his body itself but not his coils. Inoichi explains, getting a look from understanding from Naruto and a look of horror from Ino. Wait, so each time he uses his power he is constantly taking damage? Ino asks in shock, only to feel a hand on her shoulder. Hey, don't worry Ino-chan, it's not like I use the demon's chakra all that often. Plus, as long as I don't go more than a couple of tails, the damage is nothing more than a tingly feeling. Naruto tells her with a fake smile, again trying to make her feel better. Course, what he didn't expect was for Ino to latch onto him and give him a comforting hug, or at least what started off as a comforting hug but began to last a rather long time. So, Naruto eventually began to rub the girl's back, trying to comfort the blonde girl instead. Both young adults heard and made them look to see a rather displeased Inoichi. I think there is quite enough hugging for the day from you two. He tells them, clearly not too happy about his daughter clinging tightly to Naruto. Sorry papa. Ino tells him, releasing Naruto and giving him a small hug. But we will be talking about your health further later on. Ino tells Naruto, clearly leaving no room for arguments. Sigh, well, that is gonna be a fun talk. But anyways, let's get out of here. The smell of a hospital is making me wanna hurl. Naruto told the group, getting a slightly confused look from his girlfriend and a look of amusement from her father. Chapter 87. Naruto and Ino equals. After leaving the hospital, the two young adults walked around Konoha, going to random shops as an impromptu date. So, currently Naruto was simply following along for the most part as Ino looked for the best deals and the newest fashion. Still, while he wasn't that interested in shipping, he still was happy enough to do it to help de-stress Ino after the mental stress she was put through. All of a sudden though, Ino turned around and stopped their momentum. Okay Naru-kun, I think that's enough for today unless you want to go somewhere in particular. She told him with a small smile. Nah, I'm good. Well, I guess I'll see you later then. Naruto told her with a small shrug. He then began walking away only for Ino to grab his shoulder. Where do you think you are going? Ino asked with a frown. You said we were done, so I was gonna head home. I thought you said that was it for the day. Naruto told her, confused, making her shake her head. You still don't know how a girl thinks, do you, Naruto? Ino asked him, amused. Hey, I am learning. Your girl code is just a hell of a lot harder to learn than the most complicated jutsu I've got. Naruto told her with a small frown, making her giggle. Yes, and men will likely never fully learn it. Anyways, I meant that I was done shopping. There is no reason for our date to stop. Ino told him with her smile back. Well, I guess lead the way, Hana-chan. Naruto told her, making her smile grow a bit more. As she lead them in a completely new direction. Yamanaka compound. Ino eventually led Naruto back to her clan, where they quickly reached her house and reached her room. At this point, Naruto quickly unsealed the clothes that he was holding for Ino and set the bags gently onto the floor. So, what did you want to do now? Naruto asked Ino, who looked a bit nervous. Well, I just figured we could talk about what I saw throughout the day, but only if you are comfortable with that. Ino tells him, sitting on her bed. Huh, what did you want to know? I mean, most of the clips of my memories you saw weren't really that important or anything. Besides, you will get more information as we continue your training anyways. No, I wasn't talking about for me. I just wanted to see if you wanted to try to get some thoughts off your chest. Ino tells Naruto, only to see a clearly confused blonde in front of her. Sigh, this is so hard to get across. Ino mutters before refocusing. The memories I saw made me realize just how bad your past was. Now I know you don't want to make anyone worry or show that it is affecting you, but all of that trauma has to have caused some nasty mental wounds, something even I helped to create when I was young and didn't know your troubles. Ino starts remembering all the times she would help in bullying the blonde simply because that was what everyone did. Anyways, I can't change the past or what stupid things I did, but what I can do now is be someone you can talk to about your life if you want. I mean, I have some training as a psychologist, and as your girlfriend I'm more than happy to lend a shoulder to cry on. I promise I won't tell anyone. Not even the other girls if you don't want me to. Ino tells him honestly. After all, she saw clips of loads of the horrible things that went on in Naruto's life and could even sense what he was feeling at the times. And while she knew that Naruto somehow was strong enough to remain sane and could pass his mental checks, but there had to be some scars from his life. So, she hoped that she could help him release some of scars and stress through talking in private. After all, she completely meant it when she said their talk would be in private. For once, no juicy information would ever pass through her lips, at least about this. Course, Naruto just stood there scratching the back of his head a bit. Thanks Ino-chan, but I'm fine really. I am happy with all of you girls around me all the time now. Naruto told her. I know, but I'm not talking about now. I am talking about your past. Just let me try and help you come to terms with at least some of it rather than bottling it up. Thanks Ino-chan. Naruto told her, actually stunned as various memories flashed through his mind. Memories that he thought he defeated ages ago. I promise that I am over the past, but I suppose if it will make you feel a bit better about it, then I will talk to you for a bit. Naruto told her. For while he truly felt that he has moved past the past, it did leave scars on his heart that would never fully heal. But he was strong enough to force those thoughts to not affect his current life. But if Ino truly wanted to hear some of it and wouldn't take no for an answer, well, it wouldn't be too bad to talk about it for a while. I am sorry I have so many ANs recently, but this is some heavier stuff. I am going of the fact that people can go through truly horrible things and still come out as strong and normal civilians after a while. Though this is not to say that it is ever smart to make light of depression and trauma. It just is that people can recover when they are able to get the strength to do so, and talking to someone is a method to try and come to terms with stuff. After deciding to talk for a while, Naruto walked over to Ino's bed and sat down beside her before starting to tell her about the various memories that came in his head. Now Naruto wasn't sure just how long he was talking for, but at some point Ino gently grabbed him and pulled his head onto her lap. She then gently played with his hair as he talked, something that he found rather relaxing after the surprise factor wore off. Still, he made sure to not go into any memory that he thought was too bad, not because he was scared of the memory but rather to keep Ino from having to know about it, at least until she possibly dug it out of his mind through her training. Course he found his trip through his past stopped when Ino did the best hug Sei could with Naruto in her lap with tears in her eyes. "Oh, I am sorry, Naruto-kun. I had no idea you had this many troubles growing up, and to think that I was one of the people causing some of it." Ino told him, truly feeling bad. Though Naruto quickly got up and gave his fellow blonde a proper hug. "Shish, it's okay, Ino-chan. Like I told you, these things are all in the past. It doesn't matter anymore," Naruto told her gently. But all of that pain, and all I did was pick on you," she told him, still crying, remembering all the times she bullied him. "And you were a child that had no idea what was going on. Don't worry, Ino-chan, I have already forgiven you. After all, how would you have ever known about what was going on?" Naruto told her, gently rubbing her back. How ironic that this started as Ino trying to comfort me, only for me to end up having to comfort her. Naruto thought, a bit amused but truly didn't mind. After all, he felt that he got a decent bit closer to his mind-walking girlfriend. And if the only price he had to pay is memories he forces himself to not care about, then it was well worth it. "Okay, but I am going to make it up to you," Ino told him, determined, only getting an amused smirk in return and a quick kiss. "Just having a beauty like you willing to be with me is more than enough to repay me," Naruto told her, making the girl blush. "Oh, since when have you been such a smooth talker?" Ino asks after trying to calm herself for a second. "Should we worry about you trying to get more girls to join your harem?" she asked teasingly. "Nope," Naruto told her, making sure he was sitting right next before gently putting a hand on her cheek. "I just had to learn so I could out-tease the teaser," he told her before leaning in so his head was just past hers. "So how am I doing, Ino-chan?" Naruto asked quietly, making sure to have his breath hit her, and was happy to notice the shivers it created. "Oh, why does he have to do that? His breath is sending shivers down my spine. Wait, what did he say?" Ino thought before going through what Naruto actually said. "Oh really? Trying to tease me, huh? Well, I guess I will have to up the game if he wants to play dirty," Ino thought, feeling competitive. She then glanced at her boyfriend before having her eyes focus on one part. "Perfect," Ino thought with a smirk, and reached down and gently grabbed at Naruto's crotch. Exclamation mark. Lime warning. What are you doing?" Naruto asked, stunned as he felt Ino fondle his package through his pants. So you can play the game now but can't hang with the pros, huh?" Ino asked with a cocky smirk as she continued what she was doing. Course Naruto quickly realized the challenge and found himself getting competitive just like his fellow blonde. "Oh no, I am more than ready. I am just surprised that you started so boldly," Naruto told her with a smirk of his own, and quickly wrapped his hands around the girl in an awkward hug as his hand quickly went south and began to massage her butt. "But I am more than happy to show you just who is the pro and the newbie now," he told her happily as she let out a soft moan. Course Ino was far from done herself and pressed herself onto him, making sure her breasts were compressed onto him. Now Naruto did blush a bit from this, but Ino quickly moved back, making him surprised. "Sorry, but this is getting in the way of our fun, don't you think?" Ino asks as she quickly reaches under her shirt and takes off her bra without ever taking her shirt off. She then pulls it out from under her shirt slowly, making sure Naruto's attention stayed right on the piece of clothing right until she threw it to the side. She then pressed herself back on Naruto. "There, now we can get so much closer to each other," Ino tells him with a sultry smile as she took great pleasure seeing Naruto's face go even more red. He could only picture the breasts hidden only under the fabric of her shirt as he swore, he felt them as if the shirt was not even there. But he refused to lose now. With that in mind, he pushed Ino away from himself for just long enough to both remove his shirt and to flip Ino so that she was now facing away from him while sitting in his lap. "Indeed, it is Ino-chan. Let's put this freedom to proper use, shall we?" Naruto told her huskily and reached around to grab her clothed breast, making the girl tense up in surprise for only a minute before she relaxed and enjoyed her boyfriend's fondling. "Naru-kun, you were rather good at this. I guess Hinata has been giving you a lot of training. Ino admitted, enjoying her massage. Her and some of the other girls, Naruto admitted. Other girls, huh? That better be your other girlfriends and not some random woman. Ino warned but didn't truly have any malice in her voice. Hey, I wouldn't ever think about doing that to you girls. Naruto told her, honestly, snuggling his head into her neck as he momentarily stopped his hands to give her a hug. Oh, this boy, he used to blush and sputter if anything perverse happened or if someone flirted with him. Now he has become a man that is capable of dishing it out as much as we give to him. Ino thinks, remembering the times when she saw Naruto when he was younger and in the early time of their relationship. After all, even if she was mean to him, she still practiced her flirting, teasing skill with most boys around her age after she realized what it actually meant. After all, what kind of popularity queen didn't know how to control boys as they wanted? Course she was well past that part of her life. Course he mindset quickly was brought back to the situation at hand when Naruto decided to restart his ministrations. He truly does know how to use his hands. Feeling the foreplay truly work on her. I think it's time. Ino admitted to herself with a blush on her face. The competition and previous talk long since forgotten as she listened to her body more and more. With that in mind, she quickly got off the bed, much to the confusion of her boyfriend. Exclamation mark. Lemon warning and lime ending. Ino made sure to face Naruto and quickly discarded the rest of her clothes, leaving herself bare in front of him. I think my breasts have had enough attention, but another area needs some appreciation, Ino tells Naruto with her blush still clear on her face. Are you sure? Naruto asked, easily knowing what she meant, and got a nod from Ino as she sat down next to him. Course, hearing this, Naruto wasted no time getting his clothes off as Ino laid down, looking rather shy for once. Though he noticed that her attention seemed focused on his dick now that it was released from its cloth jail. But rather than him giving it any attention, he got back on the bed himself and gently began to tease Ino's vagina, getting a few light mules from the girl. Please, no more teasing, Naru-kun, Ino begged, making him pause and look at her face. Are you sure, Ino-chan? Naruto asked, serious. Yes. Just be gentle. Ino begs Naruto, who nods. He then lines his cock up with her pussy. He then gently pushed himself into her a little bit before sheathing himself completely inside of her in one thrust. Something that made Ino jump underneath him. Ah! Ino cried out with a pained look on her face, something that panicked Naruto but didn't move other than looking at her in confusion and worry. Though his confusion quickly was exchanged with surprise when he noticed a liquid flowing from her pussy, which a quick glance showed to be blood. Why, you were a virgin. I am sorry, Ino-chan. Naruto told her in utter shock. Thankfully, Ino seemed to be recovering from her pain a fair bit. I just never found someone special to take it from me until you. Ino told him shyly, clearly a bit embarrassed. I'm sorry, Ino, I just assumed. Naruto told her, feeling bad that he didn't even consider this a fact. It's okay, I know how I acted and I truly wanted to be one of the cool kids until I got serious with my career, but I just couldn't bring myself to go this far just to be one of the cool kids. After all, I've always been told it's something that you only should give to someone special to you. Ino tells Naruto honestly, making Naruto feel his heart practically skip a beat as he saw how cute she was acting shy. Just tell me when you are okay. Naruto told her, blushing a bit himself but made sure he didn't move his lower parts at all. Eventually she nodded her head and Naruto gently began to pump into her. Naruto then began to pick up the pace when Ino seemed okay with him doing so. Soon enough he was happily watching as Ino squirmed around underneath him as he continued to hammer into her. Oh god, Naruto. Ino called out, moaning happily as she felt her insides tingle like never before. It's good. It's so good. Ino added, making Naruto only pick up his pace even more. To Naruto, Ino's moans and words were music to his ears as he focused on making her feel as good as possible. Soon enough his actions showed results as Ino's squirming became even stronger as he felt her clam down on him tightly as she came. After he felt this, he stopped and simply watched happily as Ino felt her first orgasm with a loud moan. Finally, after her high finished, Ino panted with a blush on her face. Wow, Ino muttered, not expecting sex to feel that good even with all that she knew and heard of. Wow, this is what I have been missing. Ino thought, truly understanding how some girls got addicted to the feeling but refocused on Naruto. Mother was right though. It is still very worth it to share this moment with someone I care for, but speaking of which there is a task I refuse to ignore, it's the least I can do. Ino thinks with her mind feeling a decent bit clearer through the lust he felt. With that in mind Ino made her move and watched happily as Naruto was surprised to be pushed down onto the bed. I think it's only fair if I return the favor. Ino tells Naruto with a sultry smile as she sat on Naruto with his tool still deep inside of her. Why you don't have to, Naruto muttered, still surprised at how bold Ino was being. But Ino ignored him in favor of doing her best to keep a rather fast pace even as she felt her limbs going numb in pleasure every now and then. Course being less experienced than Naruto, she found her next orgasm quickly arriving. Oh god, Ino called out, stopping her ministrations as her back arched as her orgasm made her lose focus in anything else. Feeling this, Naruto couldn't help but groan in pleasure as he couldn't help but place his hands on her hips and restart his thrusts, making Ino moan lustfully as she felt him even through her orgasm. "And no, I was supposed to be taking care of you." Ino groaned after her orgasm wore off. She then tried to pull his hands off her waist but failed as he was determined to help her reach her goal, and he would be lying if he didn't have the desperate desire for release after all of this time. Not to mention he was rather enjoying the expressions and motions his girlfriend had as he pumped into her. Still, Ino finally decided to work with him instead of continuing to fail to take over. So, she tried her best to meet his thrusts and grind on him when he took a break. "Ah, Ino-chan," Naruto groaned after a few minutes, making her smile as she continued to grind on his cock. "Oh, getting close are we? Well, just let it all out. Your loving girlfriend will take care of all that pent-up lust for you." Ino tells him through groans, happy that she was so close to her goal. Course what she didn't expect was for Naruto to increase his pace even further as he groaned in pleasure. "Wah wait. Slow down." Ino groaned out but was ignored as Naruto tried desperately to reach his release. Soon this pace became too much for Ino, who quickly clamped on Naruto yet again as her orgasm clouded her mind yet again. But this clamp down was enough to push Naruto over the edge as he did one last thrust into Ino before releasing deep within her. "Aw fuck Ino," Naruto called out, feeling his orgasm feel even better with her spasms around him. After a few seconds of simply being frozen, both of them came down from their highs and Ino tiredly fell onto Naruto's chest. Ha, that was amazing," Ino told Naruto, still out of breath but happy that she felt him orgasm finally. "I am happy we got to his release, but he is still hard in me. I am almost glad there is more girls. I don't think I'd ever be able to keep up pace with him, even if the girls say that they usually outlast their lovers." Ino thinks, remembering the various conversations she has been a part of. Course she quickly pushed those thoughts away and instead simply enjoyed the warmth and love she felt from her current situation. Something that she found quickly lulling her to sleep. Something Naruto notices rather quickly. "Hey, she looks cute even when she is sleeping," Naruto states, happily pushing a strand of hair behind her ear. He was a bit out of breath, but being much more experienced was a lot better off than Ino. Still, he didn't try to push her any farther and simply enjoyed the feeling and sight of his sleeping girlfriend even as he felt his lower bra tempt him to use the location it found itself. Lemon end. Naruto didn't know how long he laid there simply looking at his sleeping girlfriend, but he was quickly brought back to reality when he heard a knock at the door, causing him to practically jump out of his skin. "Ino honey, are you in?" Naruto heard a call from the other side of the door and froze up, truly not knowing what to do in this predicament. He was stuck underneath his sound asleep girlfriend, and even if he moved her, Ino's mother surely would hear the commotion, being a trained kunoichi herself. So, he simply did nothing and hoped for the best, only to have his hopes dashed as the doorknob began to move. Sadly, before he could react, the door was opened wide, showing Ino's mother, who quickly gained a surprised expression when she saw the situation her daughter was in. "Oh, so you guys finally reached that stage," Ino's mother muttered, seeming a bit happy after seeing the happy look on her daughter's face. Course she didn't have too long to think about how to react herself, seeing as her husband was coming up to her as well. Honey, was Ino in her room? Inoichi began before looking into the room himself. He then slowly went from surprise to embarrassment and finally to rage as he directed his ki at Naruto. "How dare you! I let you guys comfort each other, but this is not what I meant," Inoichi yelled, drawing a kunai. Something that Naruto saw as his sign to leave, and as gently as he could pushed the now waking Ino onto the bed as he got up and fled as fast as he could with only the blanket he quickly grabbed to cover himself. "Get back here!" Inoichi yelled quickly, chasing after Naruto, leaving the two women back at the clan compound. What is going on, Naru-kun?" Ino asked, confused, rubbing the sleep out of her eyes as she sat up. "Well hun, Naruto is currently trying to not be killed by your dad, and you should cover yourself up. I will talk to you in the living room," her mother told her, making Ino look at her in confusion before looking down. "Ah!" Ino quickly yelled out, realizing her mother saw her not only completely nude but could see the mess her and Naruto created both on her and on the bed. Plus 15 minutes later. After getting over her embarrassment, Ino quickly took a shower to clean herself off and got dressed in a fresh set of clothes before finally meeting her mother in the living room. Said woman was calmly drinking some tea as she sat on the couch. But seeing her daughter, she motioned over to the seat next to her. I am sorry you had to see that," Ino muttered, not finding the will to look at her. "Does he make you happy?" Ino's mother calmly asks, forcing Ino to look at her surprised. He does," Ino eventually muttered. "Good, then I wish you both the best in your relationship if it is that serious for you. But next time you may want to be mindful of your father's sanity and take your relationship elsewhere," she told Ino, only to get a wide-eyed stare. What?" Ino asked, surprised. "Did you think I was going to be mad at you or something?" she asked, getting a nod in return. "Hun, I told you that it was something precious to only be given to someone special. If you found that special person, then I am happy for you," she explained, then takes a sip of her tea. "You are far from a young girl anymore and are a kunoichi anyways. It was only a matter of time before you made adult decisions, but I am happy that you kept it as something special. You will always remember it after all," she tells Ino and gets a hug in return. "I was serious about being mindful of your father though. He still thinks of you as his little baby girl, so I don't think him and Naruto will get along much. Though I do wonder just how far they went," Ino's mother told her, honestly, getting a small laugh from Ino. "Knowing Naruto-kun, he is probably hidden away somewhere Dad can't find. But I promise I will keep Daddy's mental health in mind for the future." Ino tells her, feeling a lot better now. "But I do have one question for you, Mom," Ino asks, getting a questioning look from her. "How am I an only child? After one experience, I know it's a meal I want to do quite often." Ino tells her, only partially joking. "Sigh, because actually raising the kids is a lot less fun. Now go clean your room before your dad gets back," her mother told her, letting Ino go, leaving her all alone in the room. "Honestly, that girl makes me almost glad that we never got lucky enough for another child. But I better get ready to calm Inoichi-kun down. Even if he did get some anger out, I am sure he still is going to be sore about this for a while," Ino's mother mutters to herself. For while she wasn't too happy about seeing her daughter in that predicament either, she at least understood that she was an adult now, something that her dad would find very difficult. For she was sure that just like her own father did to her, Ino will always be Daddy's little girl. Konoha alleyway. Inoichi was looking through each and every corner of the alley, desperate to find any sign of the blonde he was hunting. They traveled halfway across the village before he lost sight of Naruto for but 1 second, and the young man disappeared from his sight. But he knew he saw the tail end of movement going this way, and this alley just happened to be a dead end unless you went to the rooftops. So, he had to make sure he took his time and didn't let his prey escape from just before his fingers. "Inoichi-sama, is there an issue?" a voice called out from the end of the alley, making him quickly turn to the voice to see an Anbu member. "Just a family issue. I am looking for a rat that escaped the house," Inoichi told him calmly. For while the Anbu protected the village and upheld the law, he had some sway, seeing as he was a council member. Course, if he abused this too much, Tsunade would have his head, seeing as the Anbu tells her everything. But he thinks she would find this hunt more than acceptable to be going on as long as he didn't get anyone else involved or cause too much damage. "If Tsunade-sama wishes, I will explain it to her in the morning," he tells the Anbu calmly. "Even though this is one thing I don't want to have to remember by telling someone," he mentally added. "Okay, just keep the village out of your squabbles," the Anbu tells him after thinking for a few seconds. After all, if Inoichi was dumb enough to cause too much trouble after being caught already, then he truly deserved the punishment he received. And overall, he hadn't done anything against their laws just yet. I will keep that in mind, Anbu-san. Thank you. Inoichi tells him and watches the member disappear. He then continued his search until he was sure that his eyes checked everything in the area and even looked through the various containers that it held. Tisk, that damn brat got away, but I'll get him eventually. Inoichi mutters after a while, finally giving up, and began his journey home. Plus 10 minutes later plus. After waiting a decent while, the garbage in a dumpster began to move, showing Naruto, who was hidden inside. Damn guy was crazy. Thank Kami he missed me when he stabbed through the trash. Naruto grumbled, getting out of the trash with a look of displeasure. He then spent a minute shaking off as much of the garbage that stuck to him as he could and took the piece of paper off of his neck. Gotta thank the pervy sage for helping me with seals. This chakra seal very well could have been one of the major reasons he didn't get caught. After all, he fully expected Inoichi to have been looking for any single wisp of chakra in the area. Something that only this seal helped him from happening. He then quickly pulled out a basic set of clothes from one of his seals and walked home. Course he made sure to keep an eye on his surroundings just in case Inoichi was still hunting. Thankfully he made it home without an event and closed the door with a heavy sigh. Rough day, Naruto-sama, Haku asked, walking into the living room after doing who knows what. Yeah, you could say that. Naruto mutters, then noticed Haku scrunch her nose up in disgust even though she clearly tried to hide her disgust. Sigh, don't worry, I am taking a shower. Naruto told her, walking into the bathroom. He then quickly took off the clothes that he put on and threw them to the shower's floor. And rather than try to wash the smell out of them, he used a basic fire jutsu to incinerate them to ash before entering the shower himself. He then felt his nerves calm as the water not only washed away the ash and filth but gave heat that pierced through his muscles. I want him to be happy, seeing as I am hopefully going to be spending my life with Ino-chan, but man, I really don't know what to do to salvage this situation. Naruto thinks with another heavy sigh. For the last thing he wanted to do was make Ino pick between him and her father. Inoichi_. After reaching home, he quickly met with his wife, who saw his unhappy face. I take it he got away, honey? She asked as he got close. Yay, that darn brat is slippery than a snake, but I will get him yet. Inoichi told her, determined, making her laugh a bit. Oh my, you are so determined, but hun, just remember Ino-chan is an adult and can make her own choices. Sigh, yes honey, but she is my baby girl, I just don't want her to grow up. I know, but that baby girl is happy. I am not telling you to forgive and forget. I just want you to keep yourself open to the idea, for your daughter's sake. Fine, I'll try. It's just, she is my only girl. Inoichi mutters, clearly upset, only to have his wife put a hand on his shoulder. I know hun, but you know we aren't too old to try and change that again. She told him, making him look at her in surprise. Course she just smiled at him and walked away from the room. And now I see where she got it from. Inoichi mutters, but still follows her anyways. Chapter 88 equals Ino's training area equals. So you really are doing this? Ino asks with a small frown. For this time, instead of coming himself, Naruto sent his clone to her. Training. Yup. It should work, seeing as we share thoughts with the original and I am here with more than enough chakra to create several clones just in case you pop one or two of them. The Naruto clone happily told her, but saw the frown on her face stay in place. Listen, the real me can't risk ruining your training or causing trouble. Something that your dad will surely end up doing if he could. Naruto whispered to her, quickly glancing over at the man who was glaring daggers at him. Hey, scared of an old man? Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Ino tells Naruto teasingly, but had a clear blush on her face. For when her father saw her in the morning, he had a talk with her that was just as awkward as it was embarrassing, and her mother didn't help at all, congratulating her and asking about how she felt. Needless to say, for once the gossiping Kunoichi wished for nothing else but to keep secrets as buried as they possibly could be. But at this time the focus wasn't at her. I'm not scared, I just don't want to deal with the wrath of a crazy father. Naruto told her with a frown. Cough cough, okay, I think that is quite enough chit-chatting for now. Let's get started. Today's lesson is going to deviate from the plan just a little bit. For I think it is the perfect time for you to learn just how to pull information from one's mind when needed in interrogations. Inoichi tells her with a cold look, making Naruto gulp. Oh okay, the Naruto clone muttered, creating a clone that reluctantly sat in a provided chair. Man, real me, I hope you have a plan to block these memories at least a little bit. Something tells me the memories of me and the others are gonna be anything but pleasant. Naruto's clone though pushing away the desire to flee from the facility. He just hoped Ino knows just how much she meant to him, that he was willing to go through pain for her benefit. Just to make it clear yet again. There should not be suffering caused for your relationships in normal healthy relationships. No other than having to give blood, help with therapy, etc. Orochimaru. Orochimaru was leaning back in his chair simply thinking. For Kabuto just informed him that the villages were finally planning to do something. But rather attack separately like he expected. They apparently were going to be meeting together to figure out a plan that involves all of them. Something that was outside of his expectations but in his mind would not cause any true damage to his plans. Kukuku, so those fools figured out that my plans are a lot bigger than any one of their pathetic minds could piece together by themselves. Well, this won't stop my plans. If anything, it just makes it so I don't have to waste as much time before I set up this world in the way it should be, though I suppose I should greet them properly seeing as the meeting is all about me after all. Orochimaru thought happily. He then looked to see his throne room's door open up briefly to show Kabuto. Orochimaru-sama, Kabuto muttered, giving a small bow to his master. Kabuto-kun. Orochimaru muttered, acknowledging the young man in front of him. My lord, my project has gone next to perfectly. With your permission, I would like to bring it to the next phase. Kabuto tells Orochimaru with a smirk, piquing the snake's attention. Oh well, let's see what has become of your newest idea. Orochimaru told him, getting up from his throne and began to follow Kabuto to his own lab. So, a while back you showed me your Uchiha plan. But I have managed to make it not only more secure but have improved the product. Kabuto tells his master, then pressed a button on a control panel, opening up the metal shroud that was around a large tube. Inside said tube was a fully grown adult wearing nothing but a mask on his face that covered only his mouth. Meet the improved tube growth program. Not only can we create any living being from mixing the semen and eggs in our canisters, but I have also perfected the levels of chemicals that allow advanced growth without causing terminal damage to the subject. Kabuto explains with a cocky smile. Subject 24 here was only born 10 days ago and already is medically a 20-year-old man. And of course, all of his organs appear to have normal levels and functionality. Kabuto explains as Orochimaru takes a closer look at the tube. And this man will live without the supplement support? Orochimaru asked, looking closely at the man. Course, instead of answering him, Kabuto pressed a few more buttons on his panel and the room was filled with a light siren sound as the fluid slowly drained from the tube. As we wait, I would also like to mention that it seems possible to both artificially inseminate and transfer a fertilized embryo into a healthy woman. In the cases I have attempted, all women have been found to be properly going through the progress of pregnancy. Though of course none of the women have given birth yet, seeing as I did not do anything to speed up the process due to the risk of possibly contaminating the experiment. Kabuto explains as the tube slowly drained until there was nothing left in it other than a puddle at the bottom and a man leaning on the glass. Kabuto then opened the tube and gently removed the mask from the man before lifting him out of the chamber and placed him on the floor. Please just wait the few minutes it takes for the anesthetic to wear off. Kabuto tells him, and then they both stood in silence looking down at the figure before them. A few minutes later the man stirred and quickly tried to stand up only to fall back over. He then looked at the two figures looming over him and began to cry. Course both ignored this and Kabuto quickly went over to him and scanned his entire body. It seems my machine can increase the growth rate while keeping the body healthy. The only issue is that the specimen in question still only has the brain processing power of an infant even though it is already matured. I am not sure if forcing memories into his brain would be successful or if they would simply need training, Kabuto mutters, frowning a bit before turning to Orochimaru. Well, it seems to still have issues with the brain, but if you were going to be taking over, at least that part does not matter. Kabuto tells him with a small shrug. Kukuku. It seems you are getting close to creating an easily grown army but still have some flaws. Orochimaru tells him, then moves to terminate the now free subject only for Kabuto to stop him. Let me keep this specimen until we can determine if it is actually possible to learn or if they are forced to keep their stunted mentality after the process is complete. Kabuto explains, then calls in a random staff into the room. Keep this man safe and contained. Don't give him any chance to hurt himself and keep him properly taken care of. If he dies without my consent, then whoever let him do so goes with him." Kabuto threatened the man, who nervously saluted his superior before dragging the man out of the room as gently as they could. "Kukuku, well, with this at the level it is right now, I think it's finally time to call in my body upgrade," Orochimaru tells Kabuto, simply making him surprised. "Do you really think it is okay to do so? There still are some clear errors and several things could go wrong." Kabuto asks. "It is fine. The child that I have hidden is still safe and healthy, not to mention with your new developments in this study we will have no issue growing my future bodies. Now let the word get out that I am alive and staying in this base." "Kukuku. I imagine we will have Sasuke here within a month," Orochimaru told him. "Understood. I will have him subdued and brought before you as soon as he arrives," Kabuto tells him after a moment. "No, let him come to my room. Just have the erase set up in there ready for activation. Sasuke-chan does have decent ability to fight, but otherwise he relies on his clan's abilities," Orochimaru explains. In his mind, while Sasuke had a decent amount of fighting ability, he has almost completely relied on his eyes throughout his training. And that is something that he couldn't see changing even after he went off on his own. "If that is what you wish," Kabuto mutters. "Oh, you don't think this is a wise decision?" Orochimaru asks curiously. "No. I think it is a sound plan as always, Orochimaru-sama. I just don't know if the Uchiha will be dumb enough to fall for such a trap when it took us ages to publicly announce you were actually alive." "Kukuku, you are thinking about it too much, Kabuto-kun. Sasuke's pride will surely blind him to the possibilities. After all, even while I trained him in all the arts of a shinobi, he focused only on a few of them and never showed any desire to use them. I mean, I wasn't a worthless teacher that didn't really teach my student anything. And I for sure didn't tell him to stick to only a few jutsu, even though he knows many of them, like he was trying to save someone money on animation or something," Orochimaru explained. Yes, this is a slight dig at the fact that they had Naruto be taught basically nothing over his training. Not to mention both him and Sasuke really didn't have that man moves they used besides variations of their go-to ones. Personally find this annoying, though I am sure it did save them money to do." "As you wish, Orochimaru-sama," Kabuto told him, leaving the room even though he was still a bit confused. After all, he wasn't required to know all that his master planned. "I still don't understand, but now that I think about it, Sasuke didn't even question how all these bases stayed in function even with their main boss supposedly gone. I suppose he truly does ignore things that he doesn't deem important. Oh well, it will be his mistake, not ours," Kabuto thinks while walking down the hall. Sound base far away from Orochimaru. Sasuke currently was sitting calmly in the base's throne room, simply staring at the wall. Or he was, until Suigetsu opened the door and walked right on in, not bothering to present himself at all. Course this time he brought the rest of the team and a small and very scared researcher with him. "Come on, tell him," Suigetsu ordered the small man, pushing him into the center of the room. Well, Sasuke-sama, we have just received a report that Lord Orochimaru is currently stocking up his main base to be ready for the war to come," the man told him simply. "Oh, and how is that possible? I ended him with my own hands," Sasuke told the man. I am just the messenger, Uchiha-sama. I don't know, I promise," the man told him fearfully. "Tisk, and where did this message come from exactly?" Karen asked, clearly annoyed. After all, she never trusted anyone other than Sasuke to actually be competent. "Oh, one of our hawks came back with a note from what used to be the main base in the Sound Village," the man told them, still nervous. For all of Team Taka was well known to be crazy and unpredictable. The main base. That base had to be overrun by whatever smuck decided to claim they are the Kage after Orochimaru died. They are probably just telling the other bases this so that they stay under the Sound's base out of fear. Karen grumbles. "Tisk, as much as I hate to agree with a know-it-all, for once you are probably right. People don't just come back from the dead," Suigetsu says with his arms lazily behind his head. "Know-it-all. Just because you are a stupid fool that hardly knows the basic language doesn't mean that anyone smarter than you is some horrible nerd." Karen yells at Suigetsu, who smiles at her. "I am not saying they are. I am only saying you are," he tells her, making her red with rage. "Why you?" she begins to yell, only to be interrupted. "Silence," Sasuke called out from his chair, making the rest of his team look at him. If there is a chance of that snake still being alive, then we must see it for ourselves. If he is, then I will simply kill him again and make sure he stays dead this time. But if he isn't, well then it will truly be time for the sound to realize just who controls things around here. Sasuke tells the group standing up from the chair. For while he didn't truly care about any of the sound's resources or land. He just wanted to have people that could take care of the annoying stuff such as getting necessities that he used. Not to mention he often used some of the subjects and slaves for his own training. Get ready. We will leave at daylight. Sasuke tells the group and then quietly leaves the room. Right, Jugo calmly states and wanders out of the room himself soon after. Meanwhile Suigetsu and Karen shared one last hateful glare before leaving themselves. Meanwhile the messenger stood still until they all left before letting out a sigh of relief. Plus next morning plus. Just as Sasuke ordered his team, they were all ready to leave just as the day started. So, with hardly a word being spoken, they all began the trek back to the Sound Village. Thankfully, due to keeping a rather quick pace, it only took them a few days before they saw the familiar village come into view. TCH, I haven't seen what this place actually looks like in ages. Things really don't ever change today. Suigetsu grumbled, remembering being placed in his test tube, which might as well have been a jail cell. Fool, of course they haven't. Why would a ninja village waste time trying to become flashy or more visible to the rest of the world? And the researchers were probably all far too busy with their own little projects to do anything. Karen told him, seeing as she often had to force the researchers she controlled to actually do the work they wanted instead of personal projects. It is nice to see that the nature around here isn't horribly ruined. Jugo mutters, looking around at the scenery. Still, Sasuke ignored this all and instead continued his way until he reached the gate. When he did, a man stopped him and quickly glanced the group over. You must be Sasuke, right? The guard asked rather uncaringly. That is Sasuke-sama to you. He took over everything ages ago, you idiot. Karen growled out. Tisk, whatever woman. I don't really care what you think. All I am doing is following orders. The guard told her, annoyed. And that order is just to bring that guy to Orochimaru-sama as soon as he arrived. He added, pointing at Sasuke. So the bastard still is kicking, huh? Suigetsu mutters, only to be ignored. Anyways, let's go, and I guess your group can follow as well. I don't really give a shit. The man told them, waving off the rest of the group. Something that made them glare at the man, but Jugo stopped Suigetsu as he reached for his sword. Sasuke-sama's goal will be finished easier if we let this man show us where Orochimaru is. At least wait until then. Jugo tells him seriously, making the water man stop for the moment. The group then followed the guard as he walked through the village while looking around at the area the whole time. This place has certainly gotten more run down since I've last been here. Who let the ninja actually form what looks to be almost gangs rather than being one group? Karen grumbled disapprovingly. For all around the village there were groups of various sizes that seemed to glare at the other groups they came close to. Sometimes there was even scuffles that would start from said meetings. Lady, that is just how the Sound is now. Most of us ninja live off the saying, the strong will prosper, the weak will wither, meaning that you gotta have power here if you wanna live a decent life. Course the big wigs know about this and really don't care. They just are happy as long as the battle power we have stays the same or increases. So, as long as not too many of us die, nothing will be said. The only real rule here is to leave the eggheads alone in the research facility, but even then, if it doesn't hurt the actual village's projects, no one cries if a few go missing. The guard explains, waving off her statement. Sounds like my kind of place. Suigetsu states, happily looking forward to showing these people just who the boss is. This place makes the urge increase, so much blood is in the air. Jugo mutters, feeling his bloodlust increase as he smelt blood all through the village. Jugo, remember who your boss is. Sasuke muttered, sending the larger man a firm look out of the corner of his eye. A motion that, while minor, seemed to make the man rein in some of his bloodlust. Thankfully, before anything could happen, they found themselves entering the research base that made up a large portion of the village. As they did, they noticed a drastic change in the atmosphere. For while the area was by no means perfect, it was taken care of a lot better. Not to mention the bloodlust that was felt outside the building was almost non-existent in the building, with the only people they saw far too busy with random things to pay them any mind. We are almost there. For some reason the boss likes having his lair around these eggheads. This building always seems far too nerdy for me to stand though. The guard told them, glaring at a random researcher. No care at all for gaining true power, instead just feeding off what we give them like leeches. The guard tells bitterly but carried on walking until they went to Orochimaru's throne room. This is as far as I go, good luck and don't piss him off. The guard tells them, then without bothering to wait for their reaction walked away from the group. Well, I guess we just gotta go in and see what the hell is going on. Suigetsu says with a shrug, opening the door, and the group walked into the room. Course they all had various reactions to seeing Orochimaru sitting on his throne with a cocky smirk on his face. For Karen it was surprise that quickly changed to focused. Jugo looked on uncaringly, having already decided to follow Sasuke's lead no matter what. Suigetsu looked on with a hint of fear but mostly rage at the man that kept him in a test tube for ages. And finally, Sasuke was looking at Orochimaru first with surprise but then quickly turned into complete rage. Welcome Sasuke-chan and friends. I am so glad that you could make it so soon. Orochimaru tells them with his smirk never leaving his face. Tisk, what does it take to keep you dead, you damn snake? Sasuke growled out. Kukuku, now did you expect it to be so easy? You even knew that I was close to achieving my goal of immortality. Orochimaru asks before looking at the rest of the group. And look at you, bringing this ragtag group of finished experiments and study subjects. You bastard. Suigetsu growled out. No matter, I will just finish what I already started. Sasuke told Orochimaru, only to open his eyes wide out of shock seconds later. Kukuku, what's wrong Sasuke-chan? Can't seem to get your special eyes to work. Orochimaru asked, amused. There is a massive seal that just activated around this room and several people surrounding us as well. Karen calls out, sensing the massive amount of chakra that was being used. Jugo, get us out of here now. Sasuke called out at the guy who quickly blasted through a wall only to see a purplish barrier surrounding them behind it. Now, we wouldn't want you to leave early after we set up such a great party room for you now, would we? Kabuto asked with a sneer from the other side of the barrier. The same barrier that they used against Hiruzen years ago. Tisk fucking bastard, Suigetsu growls out, refocusing on Orochimaru. Course before he could even think about attacking, he saw Sasuke running at the man with his hand already coated with lighting. Sadly this attack was dodged simply by Orochimaru jumping from his chair. Course he quickly found himself followed by Chidori needles that were just as easily dodged. Kukuku, come on Sasuke-chan, you are just making slight changes to the jutsu that you were taught ages ago. I know you have to know more than just that, just you seeing as I taught you. After all, only a buffoon would train someone for several years and not show them any new jutsu. Orochimaru tells them with a smirk, only to have to jump again to dodge a fireball. Still just more of the same Sasuke-chan. You are acting like animators forced you to only use a few moves so they didn't have to spend ages creating actual new animations. This will be the end of the third wall breaking commentary. Just had to put it, seeing as both Sasuke and Naruto are truly what basically ends up being one-trick ponies for a good portion of the show. I mean honestly. Course he wasn't able to stay still for too long, seeing as Jugo quickly rushed at him already mutated while Suigetsu swung his blade at him from the other direction. So he quickly jumped up high enough to have both of the attacks miss, but saw Sasuke come at him from behind his back with lightning coating his blade. Orochimaru quickly turns around and launches a kick at Sasuke's side fast enough that he couldn't react before the impact slammed him into the wall. Tisk, why couldn't I see him? I have faced him loads of time in training and he never was this fast. Sasuke thought, glaring at the smiling man in front of his group. As I thought, even though I told him to train his eyes without his Sharingan, he failed to do so. Honestly, he was easily capable of being S rank, but now that his crutch is taken away from him, he is lower rank at best. Orochimaru thought, rather disappointed that the man who previously was his student ignored his advice so much that he was practically no match to him without his eyes. But he didn't think for long before he quickly sent a wave of snakes at Jugo from his mouth. Said man quickly glared at the snakes and crushed them with a heavy blast before they could bite him. Seeing the opening, Sasuke quickly used his max speed to attack and smirked happily when he saw his sword pass straight through Orochimaru's torso. Sadly that quickly changed when a snake launched out from his torso and bit him before he could react. After it bit him, the snake quickly retracted and more came out, repairing the damage to Orochimaru as if it never happened. Sasuke. Karen called out in concern as she saw him quickly stumble and fall to a knee. Lucky for him though, Suigetsu hit him away from Orochimaru with the flat of his blade before swinging at said man. "You monstrous bastard," Suigetsu growled out with his swing. Meanwhile, Karen quickly went to where Sasuke landed and quickly diagnosed a poison in his system and tried to cure him as fast as possible. Kukuku coming from a test subject made completely of water. Orochimaru stated amused as he quickly grabs the Kubikiribocho with one hand, stopping its movement completely. "Tisk strong bastard," Suigetsu grumbled, pushing all the strength into his swing as he could but really wasn't getting anywhere. Sadly, before he could retreat from his failed attack, he yelled out in pain as a massive jolt of lightning run through his system. Gah! Jugo quickly re-engaged with Orochimaru, but this time stayed in close, trying to him with anything he could, but was either dodged or had his blow pushed off course no matter what he did, until he felt a punch in the stomach that was hard enough to make him cough out some blood and fall to his knees. How is he so strong? Is this truly what an S-rank ninja is like? Karen muttered out in shock. For while she finished healing Sasuke, she knew that her fighting ability was nowhere near the rest of the group, leaving her only as a healer. So, she got a front row seat to see just how much her team was being overwhelmed, even though all but her were somewhere in the B or A rank. Does having Sasuke's eyes sealed really lower our ability that much? With him normally I felt like we would have a chance at any opponent though. Karen thought, with her courage weakening by the second. Jugo, fall back, Sasuke ordered, now standing in front of Orochimaru. Course he didn't even spare his teammate a glance as Jugo followed his order and moved him and Suigetsu away. "Tisk, you think you are almighty just because you have gotten lucky so far. But I will show you the true power of an Uchiha," Sasuke told him and allowed his curse mark to quickly spread across his body as he ran close to Orochimaru. But what he wasn't expecting was for the seal to quickly withdraw itself before he could actually engage the older ninja. "Kukuku, did you really think that I would give out a tool without having at least some control over it?" Orochimaru asks happily, with Sasuke now standing right in front of him. "Now you put up a decent fight, but how about you surrender before my next body is damaged anymore?" Orochimaru asked before grabbing Sasuke by the shirt. A snake then appeared out from his sleeve and quickly moved across Orochimaru's arm until it was able to bite Sasuke in the neck. After it bit, the snake quickly retracted and Orochimaru let go of Sasuke, who simply stood there. For while nothing visibly happened, the black-haired man felt his entire body get numb rather quickly and soon enough fell to the ground as the toxin fully took hold of him. "Don't worry, you will be cured, but only when I need my body prepped," Orochimaru told the Uchiha, who couldn't even glare at him before turning to the others. "Now then, you can either rejoin me like good pawns or I will kill you all here," Orochimaru told them coolly. "You bastard," Jugo called out in a rage and quickly lost himself to his mutation's rage and launched himself at Orochimaru. Sadly, for him the direct attack was far from effective as a sword quickly pierced through his chest. Said blade was none other than the sword of Kusanagi. The blade was coming from the mouth of a snake that came out of Orochimaru's mouth, but said snake quickly retracted and left the hilt out enough for Orochimaru to grab. "Sorry Jugo, but I have already finished the curse seal study, more than enough to remove any use I have for you," Orochimaru told him, pretending to be sad but quickly decapitated the man. "Now what will you pick?" Orochimaru asks uncaringly as the other two quickly froze up under his ki. "Tisk, as long as I am not sealed up in a fucking tube again and get a chance to gather the 7 swordsman's blades, I will work under you," Suigetsu grumbles out. After all, he hardly felt the desire to die a pointless death, even if he still wanted his revenge. "Suigetsu," Karen called out before throwing out a smoke bomb in front of Orochimaru and dragged Sasuke away. Don't worry, I promise I will get you all cured in just a minute, then you can save as Sasuke-sama," Karen stated as she began her jutsu. Sadly, she was smacked into a wall hard enough to leave cracks soon after. "As big of a fangirl as ever, huh Karen? But at least your genes might be of use," Orochimaru mutters, looking over at Suigetsu. "Prove yourself and follow my minion to place her in a jail," Orochimaru ordered and smirked when he saw Suigetsu grab Karen's arms behind her back and made her stand up. "Suigetsu, please. We still can win," Karen states to the man holding her. Stupid women, we've lost. You should only think about how to save your own life now. Suigetsu tells her as he watched the barrier fall. The men that did the barrier then surround Suigetsu and begin a walk to a jail cell that he followed without saying a word. Kukuku wonderful. Orochimaru stated happily when they were finally gone. Well, I was skeptical, but like always your plans work perfectly, Orochimaru-sama, Kabuto states walking up to his master. Yes. Now prepare for the next step, Kabuto-kun, Orochimaru ordered the man who just smirked. As you wish, Kabuto states with a small bow, then looked at the still paralyzed ninja. Look on the bright side, you will at least be helping start a new world order. Konoha, Naruto's apartment. Haku walked calmly through the house with a small pad of paper in hand as she left the kitchen. Hey Haku-chan, whatcha up to? Naruto called out happily when he saw her, making the girl jump a little bit. Naruto-sama, I thought you were training with Ino-san today. Haku asked quickly, recovering herself. Yay, I was, but let's just say that I got her dad a bit upset with me, so for the next few days it will be a clone's job while I give him some time to cool off. Naruto told her awkwardly. Thankfully though, Haku was more than happy to let it drop at the moment and didn't press him for more information. Okay then. Well, to answer your information, I am just about to head out and get us groceries for the week. Haku told him simply. Well, do you want some help with that? After all, I haven't spent time with you in a little while. Naruto asked her. Sure, I'd appreciate the help. Haku told him with a small smile. Excellent. Just give me 1 minute to get ready. Naruto told her, quickly rushing off, making Haku giggle a little bit. Naruto-kun may be a goofy guy at times, but I am glad that he has changed my life as much as he has. Haku thought happily. After all, if he never entered her life, then she couldn't imagine all the good times she has had to ever have happened. Although she had to quickly bring herself out of her thoughts as Naruto returned and the duo walked out of the house. As they walked, the couple happily talked about random things until they finally reached the market where loads of people were moving about to get their own items. As they walked down the road, Naruto couldn't help watch as Haku interacted with many of the regulars around. Hey Haku-san, thanks again for healing my boy up. The little tyke is already back to his normal crazy self. A shopkeep called out to her with a large smile. It was no problem, Hito-san. I was just doing my job. Haku tells him with a smile. Oh hush, don't give me that. If you were on the clock you would have been in the hospital and not in the park. Now here, take this as a small thank you. The man told her, handing her a small container filled with a few fruits. You don't need to do that. Haku started, only for him to wave her off. I did it because I wanted to. Now go on and enjoy your little date. He told her with a smile, then chuckled as he saw the two of them blush but walk away from the man. Haku-chan, welcome, how can I help you? A little girl called out shyly when they came up to her with her mother right behind her. Hello Terry-san, can I get 2 sacks of rice please? Haku asked the girl, who nodded and grabbed the sacks. Here you go, and now that will be, 14 ryo. The girl asked, looking over at her mother, who nodded. She then smiled happily that she got her math right. Hey, good job Terry-san, you are getting better every time I see you. Haku tells the girl, who seemed to smile even wider. Thank you. The little girl called out happily as they continued their walk. Hey, it seems that you are pretty popular, huh Haku-chan? Naruto asks with a wide smile. Yes, I do have a few acquaintances in the village now. And that is all thanks to you, Naruto-sama. Haku states. AP. Naruto mutters, waving his finger in front of her face. I have never been close or really talked to these people. You having all these friends and people to enjoy time with is all thanks to you and your hard work. Naruto corrected her. Nope, Naruto stated, confusing her. What? She asked. I refuse to take any excuses you make up. Your life is better because you worked hard to make it into something great. Don't ever deny yourself of the rewards your work has given you. All I did was give you the chance. Naruto told her, giving a one-armed hug. Be proud of yourself Haku-chan, because I sure am. Naruto told her, making her blush yet again. Haku started feeling flustered before finally giving up. Thank you Naruto-kun, she simply told him with a smile, giving him a kiss on the cheek. You have given me the life I never knew I wished for. She stated happily. It was nothing. I mean, the boyfriend is supposed to make their girlfriends as happy as they can. Naruto told her, blushing a bit himself. Oh really? She asked, getting a nod in return. So, she leaned into him until her mouth was next to his ear. Well, what I really would love is help passing on my bloodline. Maybe you can help me with that when we get home. She asked him with a sultry smile before breaking free from his hug and continued to walk. Meanwhile, Naruto stood in place confused for a minute before he finally got what she meant and found himself heavily blushing as he tried to catch up to her. Meanwhile, behind them was the little girl and mother that they just recently went away from. Mommy, why did their faces go all red when they were just talking? The little girl asked, confused. Ah, that is what happens during young love. It means they are happy. Her mother told her with a knowing smile. Oh, well, I am happy that Haku-ni-chan is happy. The girl states. Me too, me too. Her mother stated, watching the couple walk away. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you have any fanfictions you would like to see on the channel, leave them in the comments, and have a great day.